standard avatar for this week. I just figured, I'm not going to put up a joke.
Hello, Dan. I actually, and I'm not being glib when I say this, Dan. I actually think that I think we'll do more good if we provide a respite.
Yep. Hello, everybody on YouTube and Rumble. We've just been talking a little amongst ourselves because Chris and I, we haven't spoken for a week, and Gary and I haven't spoken for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And we've found this week a little draining, a little very taxing, very emotionally compromising to one degree or another. And it's difficult to keep one's mind on other things when things bear down on us all collectively. I think you can sense that mood out there, and if you're feeling like that too, then obviously if you're spending time with us for a little while is going to help in some way, help you process it or help you escape from that, then we'd like to do that. We may be a little more somber than usual. I don't feel myself, I must admit, this has been weighing on me heavily. And particularly because we were just talking before we came on here, everybody. And what I found earlier in the week was I was looking at an image on social media, and I look at a lot of feeds and things like that and pages and sources for things about the kind of stuff that we cover on the Spacebook and the stuff I do for Type 40. And so I see a lot of sort of freeze frames of things from movies and TV shows that I either haven't seen yet or will never watch, Chris. And there was one in particular of an image in a train with a young woman closer to us, and then a large foreboding figure behind her that to me looked like something out of a horror film.
There's a big distinction between, and I am probably one of the world's biggest horror fans. There's a big distinction between horror and reality. Horror, we know it's fake. My hang up with horror movies is I don't like seeing bad things happen to dogs. But it's sort of the kind of like the uncanny valley effect. It's not real. Freddy or Michael Myers or Jason or Chucky are not really torturing these people. It's all CGI or practical effects. It's different when you see it in real life. And I think the brain understands this difference. I'm like, yeah, it does look like a horror scene, but the horror of it is it's not a horror scene. This actually happened. And I know we're going to try and cover different things today. We've got a fun PSA. This one, the human body is not supposed to do that. I think I have at least one more complaint about Scream Factory coming up. I am very grumpy over Aliens, but that will come up later. But this is a decision that you have to make on your own. And normally, and I was saying this to Dan before we started, I'm like, I don't watch videos of beheadings and things like that, even though like I am a horror fan. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff in real life because you can't unsee it. I think both these incidents that happened this week, the real-time videos, unfortunately, they're online. I have watched both of them. I don't know which one is more horrific, but I know the video of the young girl, 23 years old. Actually, I know she has, we were born different years, but she actually has the same birthday I do. You cannot unsee it. It is the saddest and most horrific thing I've ever seen. I watched it on Monday earlier in the week before the incident with Charlie. I haven't been able to get it out of my head since. And this is a decision you have to make on your own. And I know neither Dan nor Gary have seen either of the videos yet. I think it's almost everybody should watch this because it will bring many things into reality. But keep in mind, you cannot unsee it. And I watched it 6 days ago. I am still completely messed up by it. And then we had the other video on on Wednesday, which is equally one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. So that's all I'm going to say. Although I'm not using one of my silly avatars this week. I've just for this week I've gone back to just my regular yellow logo, which makes all the right people angry. So I like that. But yeah, so I guess what we'll try and do today is because it's all over the news, both stories. This is all we've seen for the past few days, and I think when we were talking, I think we will do another one of our streams, but I don't think we're going to do that today. We've got things to cover and things that are outside of that. So like I said, we've got. I don't know. I think Dan may have had some Red Dwarf news. I don't know. I actually, to be honest, I haven't even looked at a lot of this stuff before because I've been preoccupied. So I'll just be commenting on a lot of this as I see it. Although I did watch Alien this morning, and spoilers. If I was not reviewing it, I would have checked out after today. I'm going to do when we do our actual review. I'm going to do a comparison to the Chucky series. Which is another incident where they pulled a bait and switch. So look forward to that comparison. And when we do the public service announcement, I'm going to call this one What Not to Do in a Factory, and the human body is not supposed to bend that way. And next week, we're going to learn about drugs.
See, it was concerning me that people out there might think that we didn't care, or that we weren't feeling it the way that you probably are. And we are. Each of us is evidently feeling it in a different way, and I would imagine that so is Svi as well. He's.
I am indeed.
Hello, my friend.
Cook, right? Or are we talking about not talking about Charlie Kirk?
All of it.
Yeah,
Charlie Kirk and the poor young woman.
Honestly, in terms of if this stream is a show is about different films, types of genre TV. By the way, Alien was freaking awesome. Loved every second.
Okay, there's going to be some drama. Okay, if you need a distraction, folks, there's going to be some drama in the second hour.
Won't be. I don't mind that you're wrong. It's fine. I don't mind. It's only me this week. I've got the 3 people who don't like it. No problem. I love it.
This is not the show that I signed up for. I don't see Teenage Mutant Ninja Synths in space.
Keep your powder dry, gentlemen.
It doesn't have to be for you. For me, I think it's totally Alien. Right, it fits seamlessly into the series and with the themes of the series, and it's intelligent. Like that's why I like it. It's intelligent, like good Alien movies should be.
Rabbi, we know you've spent the last couple of days away with your family. I know. I hope you've had a good time.
Literally, I've just walked in. I just
sufficient respite from everything else. Have you been able to escape all of that to spend time with your loved ones?
Honestly, I think this is a massive world-changing moment.
I hope
that
so.
Is going to have incredible reverberating effect. Is having incredible reverberating effects, and I think it's going to change things forever, right? And I think it affects us in fact. I was going to say, look, we're talking about. I think this is really, really. I know it's tangential, but I think it's central to where fandom is, where the fandom is now. All fandoms, right? Genre fandoms. And where they're going to be in the future, because look, the age of woke is over, right? I mean that was reasonably clear. Like they lost all political power, and they're very fast losing social power, right? But with this, the assassination and their immediate celebration of it, right? Just their immediate. I think it's a watershed mark where people we've had enough of you weirdos pretending that, we have any form of moral equivalency with what today calls themselves the left, because they're not left at all. They are the only difference between them and the National Socialists from Germany in the 1930s is these are global socialists. They use their magic words of power to shut you up because they can't debate you. They'll call you a racist. They call you a bigot, and we all walked into that the minute Jodie Whittaker walked into Doctor Who, the episode. If the episodes were fine, we wouldn't have walked into that, right? And that worked for a good number of years. It's only very recently that started losing its power, right? Once that loses power, they just lie. They lie and they accumulated lie.
All of it, Rabbi. All of the social stuff like that sort of went through culture like that. it accumulated, it grew momentum and accumulated mass, and it just plowed through everything and everyone.
Right.
And but then you said to me a little while ago, I think it was maybe even 18 months, 2 years ago, when you were speaking about the forthcoming Jewish New Year, I think, and you said, "Oh, this is the year whereby the unstoppable force will be stopped by an immovable object." So you phrased it in that way.
That sounds like something I would say. I'm not sure what I meant.
I remember more of what you say than you do.
I never remember what I say. It's all going on here all the time anyway.
I have a mental archive of what of the many fun things you've said over the past 7 years I've known you. We love you, dude.
Wait. Who am I calling Nazis? It was Z3PO said Rabbi calling people Nazis. I'm out.
And I got to say, as far as the fact that we're going to have a couple of hours and we're going to be kind of bantering and debating and stuff. Dan's right. That doesn't mean that we haven't, forgotten everything or we're making a light of the moment or whatever. I don't agree with that at all. I got to admit, as I told Dan on Thursday and then before the show, I said I felt like tired all over for the last couple of days because it's hard to see evil with a capital E win a battle, but we just have to keep our focus on the hope that it will not win the war. And although a lot of the reaction to this has been disgusting, the reaction to that is where the hope is. That people are drawing the line and saying no further. And Rabbi, I do agree. I hope this is a turning point. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see his it's empowering, but it's heartbreaking to see the address that his wife gave. I mean, you sit there watching it in tears, but as your heart kind of soars with her resolve, but you're watching it through tears. And we just got to say, what? This, I agree with you, Rabbi. Woke is dead, but they will rage against the dying of their light.
That's what's going on right now.
This is where they're at their most dangerous. There's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal, and that's what we're finding out right now. But I think it's like this. It's not this woke is dead. It's I think this is completely inverse the paradigm. Whereas where if you said, you didn't think women had penises in 2019, your life was essentially over, right? I think that's good. That's completely inverse, and people who have celebrated this are being fired left, right, and center, and I am 100% on board for that, right? Well, I'm 100% on the ton of bricks that's coming to the Antifas of the world that are about to collapse. But the point is that the social power that they had has now completely gone. Right, they're a small group of crazers at this point. Right. It just which is a massive victory, and that Charlie Kirk had to be a sacrifice for it is beyond tragic. But the best compliment I can give him is this: that I believe he was killed for the exact same not because of anti-Semitism, but because of the exact same way anti-Semitism works. Well, how does anti-Semitism work? They say Jews are doing terrible things. Jews are using Christian baby blood in their religious practices, or they're doing a genocide in Gaza, or they're starving children. It's always the same. And then they go, because they're absolutely evil. So then you can do what you want with them. Charlie Kirk died for the exact same reasons. We had 9 years of people, everybody being called a Nazi. Well, it started off in 2016 when it said, is it okay to punch a Nazi in the face? And we all knew that what the next thing was, everybody's a Nazi who's not them. Yep.
Right?
Called it then.
Exactly.
So.
But I think that's I think that's why he was murdered. Right? And I still see Stephen King posting that Charlie Kirk said gays should be thrown off the building or some stupid thing. I hope there's legislation that can not just fine him, put him in jail.
But then he retracts it. But of course, the internet is forever, and everybody got screen grabs is not going to let him retreat.
Well, on your
his,
side of the pond, you probably don't know what this means, but I hope they start giving people the Lucy Connolly treatment. Right, Lucy Connolly is somebody who tweeted something a year ago in response to a English
atrocity.
Attack. What?
An atrocity, wasn't it?
Yeah, an atrocity, and deleted it several hours later, and was still, and it wasn't really that spicy what she wrote, and was still thrown in prison for a couple of years. Right? I think that's good. I think that is what we're going to see happening in America. And I think it's going to go across. I just think the idea of like screaming that Donald Trump's a Nazi over and over and over and over and over again. Anybody MAGA is like, it's gone. It's over. It's not allowed anymore. Did you see the famous clip on The View where The View's like, they're all like crying, oh, it's so sad. And we should move on to genre stuff soon. I 100% agree with you. But they're all crying, oh, so sad. And they had a guy and say, excuse me, you've been doing this for years, like years and years and years. It was the left that tried to assassinate the president.
They were crying this week on The View, a show that has absolutely
crocodile tears,
so much
crocodile tears. But somebody called them out to their face, and they got cut off live. He said, it's the left that celebrated, burnt Teslas to the ground and wanted Elon Musk dead. It's the left that murdered Charlie Kirk. It's the left that celebrated it. And in 2 weeks' time, when that's over, you'll go back to calling everybody a super Nazi once again and fascist, and you kill them. So literally on air, he turns around to us all and says, F you, F you, F you, and F you. And cuts to white, cuts to...
See, I mean, if Charlie Kirk's going to have a wide legacy, but if his main legacy is that people adopt the fearlessness that he had into what Robbie just said, calling people out when they spout their garbage, calling them out in the moment, not being intimidated because you don't want to rock the boat or because you don't want to get into an argument. If people just adopt, a portion of the fearlessness, which was undergirded by his faith, and just say no. Find something in your life that's positive and worth defending, and defending it with all the passion you have in you. If that's his legacy, then well done, good and faithful servant.
And I think and I'll just say two more things, and then I'll go back. Then you can then I'll go back to complaining about everything, which is what I do normally. But one piece that. If Charlie Kirk hated gay people, one of his best friends would not be Dave Rubin, former liberal, but now conservative. Well, no, I'd say more a centrist personality, but they were very close friends. So that undoes that entire thing right there. And but I think for now, just say, there were lives involved here. I think rest in peace. Irina Zarutska and Charlie Kirk. And let neither of them ever be forgotten.
Oh, they won't be.
No.
I was going to say, somehow, how unforgivable, how unflinching and how harsh the news cycle is, in that it moves so quickly now. And it's everyone on every side of the aisle, really, that I believe does that habitually, moves on to whatever and whoever is next, rather than to sit and to take in what's happened, to learn lessons. I think in some respects, the whole sort of growth of not necessarily just social media, of new media and new communication methods has been relationships, connections, interpersonal interactions has sent it into a completely different sort of sphere that none of us were ready for. Least of all the people who worked in what was then the established media, what we would now call the mainstream legacy media. They weren't expecting it either. And when I look back through history at such things as the printing press first being invented and news being sort of disseminated in that way, and the mail system as well, how to contact people individually over great distances, all these different innovations, they were all very tentatively legislated to some degree or another. It was worked out by a group of clever very clever, distinguished, noble, and uncorruptible people who only wanted the best for humanity, I suppose you could say, in the wake of these huge changes. I don't think anybody's ever done that for the internet, and this is in any portion. And we've had the internet for a long, long time, but I think that when it comes to advertising space, they're very quick to legislate for it then, and to protect one's copyright claims and things like that. But as regards its sort of strain on the human condition and on interpersonal interactions, I don't think anybody's ever really sat down and thought about it.
Oh, I'm going to say I disagree with you. Absolutely, I think they sat down and thought about it, and it's been maliciously weaponized to make us go crazy.
I mean, anybody of good character, I suppose, is what.
Okay, well, sorry, I was talking about the intelligence services. I take that back. Is there anybody of good character left? I think is what I do wonder sometimes. No, there
is, and I think if you look at the way, I don't even know. Like, I still consider myself a centrist, although I think I'm a classical centrist now. I'm alt-right if you ask these people. But I think there are many good people. Unfortunately, they really aren't. There might be the occasional exception, but they're not really on the left anymore. But I think when it comes to normal people, the center, and I think even the right, if you look at the way, say if somebody that one of these, I won't mention any names, but one of these terrible leftist politicians in the U.S. or certain individuals, or even if a certain individual had been assassinated in my country, I would be celebrating it. I'm like, yeah,
but they really are evil.
Yeah, well,
the difference is we haven't spent the last 10 years calling everybody on the left Nazis when we really should have done. Quite frankly, we have they made this environment of extreme political, violent rhetoric normal, right? And can you punch a Nazi in the face? Started in 2016, and this is where we are now. Everybody they don't like is a Nazi.
And we're not, and Rabbi, we're not burning cities to the ground,
exactly,
like some people did. Like we're angry, and I know there were vigils, and I think there was one where the lunatics got in, but we're not out there. We're not destroying things. I'm like, the worst thing they did in the UK was hang up the UK flag, which I still, I'm just like a jaw dropped at that. But I think if you're what I will call a psychopath or a sociopath, you're going to go to that side, because if you look at a lot of these people, I'm not going to say all of them because I'm not going to be like them and paint everybody with the same brush. But if you look at a lot of those people, they are obviously very mentally unwell, very easily manipulated, and very bad people can prey on people like that and weaponize them. Yeah. And that's what's happened. Like we don't, and you notice they all follow the same script, word for word. People on the center and the right, we don't all agree on everything. Like this, later on today, Rabbi and I are going to yell at each other over Alien. The entertainment example. I'm just exaggerating. We'll talk. We'll have a spirited discussion. Yeah. But we're not an echo chamber here. And and even with Charlie Kirk, I agreed with a lot of what he said. There's some things he said that I didn't agree with.
Well, I'm not Christian, and I pretty much agree with it.
And he was fine with that. He welcomed that.
But you know what? From my theological point of view, he echoed my worldview. He gave me so much more respect for Christians. Like, it's not that I don't respect Christians. He was such a great ambassador for Christianity.
Yeah.
Right.
Boy.
It's incredible. And I disagree with him. I'm not. I don't think I'm not like an absolutist on abortion, for example, where he was. And but I never saw him deal with anybody without respect. Right. He was, even when he was in an argument, he'd always be respectful. And the bottom thing, there was always a cornerstone, underlying thing of love coming out of him. That's why he was doing it, because he loved everybody. Because I think he was trying to be Christ-like, and I think he achieved it.
Amen.
I got the impression. See, to me, he was I kept forgetting his name because I didn't pay much attention to this side to the political domain, particularly as it's not my country. I didn't take much of an interest in foreign politics really until quite recently, until 2 or 3 years ago. So to me, this guy, this was the change my mind guy. You know, so I knew what he did, and now and again I'd hear him do it, but I never sat down and watched too much of it. But I could see that to me it seemed very cleanly to be about connection, and I wasn't even sure who he was representing until the last the election, until he was openly campaigning for one side. I don't remember how entrenched he was in it, but I know he did speak.
He was incredibly entrenched.
He was
incredibly entrenched, and there's a lot of the victory. Look, he basically turned Gen Z MAGA, right?
Well, Gen Z males for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah, but
some women, but heavily
Gen Z
males.
Females want boyfriends as well, right?
Yeah.
Look, the future is inherently right wing at this point. The only reason Nigel Farage won't be the next prime minister is because he's too left wing. Right, that's really the only. And like, you imagine if you went back a year in time and said that to someone, they'd be like, ah! Nigel Farage is like the English Trump, if you don't know. But
we know who he is. It's no, I've always been kind of torn on Nigel. I don't know how effective he would have been, but I think that the notable thing about Charlie Kirk was this was somebody who, you know, he didn't do anything out of anger, and he was always he was say completely different from somebody who carried a lot of. I'll compare him to Matt Walsh, somebody who and I've watched both of them for years. Matt Walsh would rip you a new one or just make fun of you or, you know, lambaste you. Charlie Kirk was unique. I think, well, we wouldn't see that on the left, but it's rare that we would see something like that on the right either, where somebody who came from an area of respect. You know, he didn't knock down like his whole.
I never saw him shout down anyone.
He
and admittedly,
he did. Okay, no, he got gone to Jordan.
No, I didn't.
He would get angry at times.
I didn't follow him. I didn't subscribe to his content. I never went out of my way to watch it. But I did see when people shared things of his which they clearly thought showed him in a bad light. And I personally never saw him sort of breaking anybody down, shouting anybody down. Being cruel I suppose is more. I never saw him being cruel.
Well, look at the. I think it's telling that the name of his tour, "Prove Me Wrong," indicates to me that he's as willing to, through the dialogue that he wants to have with people, you know, he wanted to maybe through questioning enlighten them, and he was more than willing to be enlightened by the people he was talking to. The name of his tour wasn't "I dare you to prove me wrong." The name of his tour wasn't "Good luck in proving me wrong." There wasn't an arrogance. There wasn't an arrogance or an "I'm better than you." It was let's both talk to each other as equals who have something to offer each other, and I'm more than willing to have you prove me wrong, and maybe I can prove you wrong, and that's what it was all about with him. There wasn't, you know, and I want to thank Rabbi for his eloquent, you know, statements about the way that his faith was kind of, you know, underpinning him, and you know, I absolutely agree with that, Rabbi. So thank you for saying that.
Yes, thank you.
I have nothing but respect. Honestly, you should know that there's a large part of the religious Jewish world who are like devastated by him. You have no idea how much good. Like the Crusades were bad. Charlie Kirk was very good. You know, it kind of like made up for all of that.
Yeah. Could it be, Rabbi? Could it be that most of us can still recognize a good man when we see one? Generally speaking, a good man.
Yes.
I hope so. Listen, for me, again, I'm a religious nut. I look at everything in theological terms. Okay, I'll be as quick with this as humanly possible. There's a bit in Genesis, right, where Jacob is coming back to Israel, right, and he's met by his brother Esau. Now, Jacob is where the Jews came from, and Esau is essentially where Christians came from, right? The Rome came out of them. Anyway, so they think there's going to be a war, and Jacob's people are going to be wiped out. But they meet, and they're very, very friendly to each other, right? And then they go, and then Esau goes to Jacob, "Come, let's walk together." And he says, no, I got all this stuff. I got these wives and cattle and everything. You go ahead, but in the future, we will walk together, right? I think that's the future we're living in right now, because Christians and Jews have been somewhat fractious over the last couple of thousand years. But like today, I think we're in a really genuinely different world. And we're in a different world because of very good, fine people like Charlie Kirk, right? I was genuinely devastated by his killing. I'll talk about it tomorrow night on my stream. But
let's make no mistake, the young people that were his primary focus and audience, and let's not forget there were 3,000 people at this event.
It was huge.
Who came out to see him. And for that generation, and for all the people around the country that that he's touched, I don't think it's overstating to say that this is their Martin Luther King moment.
Absolutely.
For that generation, this absolutely, and that's what the ripples from that are what remain to be seen still.
It's the first time I've had that feeling, since September the 11th, 2001, that as if, boom, I'm going to remember where I was. You could say when the Queen died is a similar thing, but the death of the Queen, even though that happened in a short period of time, only 2 or 3 days, it was still, she was in her late 90s.
You knew it was going to happen.
The nation was almost preparing for it to some extent with the benefit of hindsight. I think that's probably why it felt different. This feels positively seismic. You can feel the plate shifting, and obviously none of us really know where they're going to rest, if they're going to rest.
Well, it's I've been thinking about that as well. Sort of, this was like, you look at our parents' generation, boomers. They had the Martin Luther King moment, the JFK assassination, and I think this is especially true for Zoomers. Like I said, he was, I'd say, the biggest influence for now. Yes. I'd say it's more than a majority, more than 50% of Zoomer men who have. Basically, that Zoomer males have faced the worst of all of this, because at least those of us that are older knew what, at least experienced the world before this has happened. They've known nothing but vitriol thrown in their direction, and that I think they may be more conservative than Gen X, which is probably the most conservative overall demographic on the planet. But I think it's even for. Even beyond the group, like, I'm at the younger end of Gen X. It affected me just as much, because even though, that I'm not in my 20s anymore, I'm far removed from that. I'm approaching sort of that. I'm well into the later half of life at this point. But even he was 15 years younger than I am, but he also, spoke to me. I think in a way, few people did. And there are a lot of conservative commentators in that space, but a lot of them are, I hate to use the word bold because the other side uses that, but very bold and quite belligerent. I think we know who most of them are. They're not necessarily bad people. They just like shouting or talking down to people. And somewhere close to what Charlie managed, but there was, it's almost like he had, and I believe, and I'm, he was a Christian. I'm an agnostic, for full disclosure. I know that there's something beyond this, but I don't know what it is. That's my view. And I don't push that view on anybody else. And I respect everybody else's religion, as long as you're not using that religion to kill people, which we're not going to get into right now.
What else is religion for, baby?
Say what? Sorry, what was that, Rabbi?
What else is religion for, baby?
Yeah, it's
but giving everybody.
Yeah, we get it.
That's why it's great we have people like Charlie Kirk to show us what religion really is for.
Yeah,
right?
And I think
great people, and because of his adherence to his religion, and him not doing what he wanted, he did what he thought Jesus wanted, right?
Yeah.
And he did what he thought Jesus wanted through deep knowledge of the scriptures, right? Just a brilliant mind, absolutely brilliant mind.
Yeah.
But again, that's the goal. of religion, right? To be as great as Charlie Kirk, as brave as he was, right?
To be
And I'm not, you know what? I mean, I don't know if you guys will agree with me. I'm not mourning for him because I know to every fiber of my being where he is right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not mourning for him at all. I'm mourning for, you know, his wife and children, and for what this shows about where we are at this moment. Hopefully, where we won't be soon. But that's really kind of where what my sadness is reserved for. I have no sadness for him because he is 110%. Somebody, like I heard somebody talk yesterday. I'm sure somebody said, you know, I'm sure that, you know, when he arrived, that God asked him for his autograph, you know? And so it's like, absolutely.
Well, you know, if I can make a little genre segue, if you're talking about the afterlife, if you want to know what I think is the most accurate representational film of the afterlife, it's the Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come. Directed,
I haven't seen that in years.
Yes, great movie, beautiful movie. But I mean, okay, the central problem with it is it all centers around his like deep love and connection with his wife, right? And clearly they hated each other, right? Robin Williams and at least the actress hated him, right? I can't tell Robin Williams hated her.
I remember that movie.
Zero chemistry between. Fortunately, they're only together for like 2 or 3 scenes, right? So, but that's for that. But otherwise, Fred Walters was the guy tying into Alien. Look at this. He was the guy who had the Alien movie, the Alien 3, with the monk space station that was covered in wood.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So that was
at least Alien 3 was an alien movie.
And you know, it's so funny that you mentioned that, Rabbi, because I was actually thinking of the movie. It was from the mid-90s, I think. This comedy called "Defending Your Life."
Defending Your Life.
Brooks,
I was going to say that.
Basically, when he dies out of this with this comedically kind of freakish accent, basically when he gets up there, he sits in a viewing room and you watch video of all the good things and the bad things that you did. And after I walked out of that movie, I'm going, please don't let it be like that.
Okay, from a Kabbalistic point of view, you put What Dreams May Come and Defending Your Life together, that's pretty much it, right? Look, here's a tip. Everybody sees everything you do. There is no bullshit, right? And the fires of hell is your embarrassment, right? As you're caught out in every lie. That's why it's so much better not to lie. Honestly, it just makes your life so much easier. I mean, you can lie. Don't just lie to get yourself out of trouble. But lie for a purpose, right? Lying is okay in context, right? But like honestly, that's what the afterlife I believe it to be. Your day of judgment, right? Which, although you know, you started this by saying the Jewish New Year. I said a year or two ago. It's the rubbers hit the road. It did, right? The next Jewish New Year is coming up. It's 12 days out. Tonight at 12:30, I got to go to the synagogue for a special prayer service. I'm pissed off about it, but yeah, every year I am.
Well, so, I've got to say that I'm actually personally like very much as I'm certain you'll be talking about all this at length during the week, Rabbi, and I really am looking forward to.
Oh yeah, no, tomorrow
I'm really looking forward to your streams as you kind of reflect and talk at length about that.
I'm trying to hold myself because there's a lot. That's why I'm trying to move on to genre stuff because there's a lot I want to talk about.
Yeah,
but I was just gonna say, Jewish New Year. My prediction for the upcoming New Year is this is it for woke. This is it in terms of this was a D-Day, right? The back is gonna be broken on it completely, socially, politically, in every way. Is going to be an embarrassment, and it will be
the breaking point. Yeah. Although when we do finally go as a palate cleanser, Dan, I say we go right to the PSA when we start covering stuff to distract.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna sort of get stuck into things in a few minutes, everybody. I just wanted to say hello to those watching on YouTube and Rumble, and thank you for listening. And maybe it's helped in some way. I don't know. Hearing us talk about this as friends, all of us friends. Yeah. Hopefully, if you're feeling something of what I've been feeling, or any of the other three guys, then maybe it will have helped. Lord Thoth's there in the live chat. Hi, mate. He's there along with Stephen Braddock too. We've got Darren M in the live chat with his greetings and felicitations all around as always. And Our mate PD Rich is here too with a hail chat. Rose Kirby's in as well. Looking forward to one of the talking points we've got coming up. That's just stay tuned. We are going to get into that. And we've got Garbage here too. Retro, that's
who's that person?
That's me.
you.
Retro, a doctor of retroactivity.
That's right.
Radioactivity.
Happy to welcome Z3PO back to the chat as well. Come on again, by all means, Z. We'd be delighted to have you back. And PD Rich, yes, says rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Talking Turtles there with Lord Thoth.
Oh no, no, he's responding to when I called it Teenage Mutant Ninja Synths in Space. I was saying this is not what I signed up for. This is when Rabbi were yelling at each other.
It's 100% what I signed up for. Like
it is not what I signed up for. This is.
It couldn't be more. What I signed
this
up.
is terrible. I didn't. I want. Where's my alien? I get an alien in the Latin. Sorry, I'm gonna stop.
I remember. That's a fair point.
There was Alien Junior in this one.
Lucy's joined us too there on YouTube. So has Stephanie. Humor is fine. It's natural for humans to use humor to cope with stressful situations. Thank you, Stephanie. More from Lord Thoth. And yeah, I think people have been generally sharing here. Raise the Colours, says Nicholas Horton. I couldn't agree more. And Stephen and several others are expressing their distaste at some of the reactions that we've seen to both of the events of this week. It's been impossible to stomach, I would say. And congratulations from Nicholas Horton to all of the British patriots in London today for the Unite the Kingdoms rally, which has gone brilliantly.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I saw some images. Before we came on, I saw some incredible imagery, which looked like it was taken from not far from Big Ben, looking down across London Bridge. And my God, it just looked glorious. As I understand, there hasn't been any trouble apart from the boys in blue getting a bit free with their doing more of that.
As to be expected.
What is that in support of?
It's just generally speaking, it's to represent, as I understand it. I mean, if you ask them what it's about isms and phobias and things like that. But as I understand it from the people that I've seen talking about it, it's about a show of real representation for who the British public really are, who feel a particular way, a sign of visibility and unity, and again, of connection with people within Britain from all walks of life, Indigenous British people and people who legitimately, legally came to the country and who've adopted British values and are proud to be British. That's what it's actually about. So you have people of all creeds and colours and faiths there today. People of literally all generations I've seen. I'm not quite sure who organised it, whether it was exclusively Tommy Robinson and his organisation, or whether it was a greater, because there are several key people who seem to be involved. Advance UK, I believe they're involved, but that's the new political party. So I'm not 100% sure, because with some of these events, they in the past they've tried to do these things before when the political climate wasn't so charged as it is now, and they were able to close them down pretty quickly through a program of disinformation largely, and the mainstream media would be completely complicit in doing that. But now the growth of independent media, citizen journalists, and Elon Musk turning Twitter into X, that has been revolutionary in Britain. And it's probably the reason why our Prime Minister will probably be looking to close it down before the end of the year. I do feel that's likely to happen. In Britain, at any rate. So it's quite likely we won't be able to access it.
Now. Look, here's the thing. They've lost control, right? They've lost that, and I know you don't like the term, and I agree with you, right? But the Lotus Eaters have coined an expression, said, the Gammonzilla has been awoken, right?
Yeah,
and they are terrified. So, again, I understand it's an offensive term, but the uses of it, I thought was quite good.
Well, they're trying
put the genie back in the box.
I mean, I know that some of us know people on Lotus Eaters, and I've been following that since before it was the Lotus Eaters. but that the idea that reclaiming that word, which I always call the G word, I find that word incredibly offensive. And yeah, I did see that, and I was a little uncomfortable with it, but I can see what they're getting at. I can see where it's coming from.
It's very descriptive, right? It's like it. Yeah, that's the thing. If you can say a complex idea in under 3 syllables, right? Like 3 or 4 syllables, right, and make you laugh. You as few syllables as possible, right? Is the goal. But then you've and it did, and look, I understand it's offensive. That's why I opened up with it, right? But very effective, right? Very, very effective, because it says exactly what it is. They said they're terrified of their own population, essentially, the vast majority of their own population, and you can't gaslight us anymore. It's over. That's what I'm saying.
There are people who are very content in their comfortable in their echo chamber, content in their ignorance, and won't hear. You could go and say and explain to them what this event today is really about, but you'll never shift that idea from the front of their mind that it's about exclusion, and that it's about violence and dislike of somebody for being a different race, color, creed, whatever. But they're just going to have to live. They're just going to have to live with it, because more and more people are seeing the lot. I mean, I don't like using the expression "red pilled," but more and more people are becoming red pilled to all of this, to the mainstream media, and to not necessarily because of anything the independent media are doing. There are people who are just. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes thing. It's like, well,
Absolutely.
Don't believe your lying eyes. Eventually, people see too much. They can't. There's only so far you can take even the average mind of people who have got a lot on their day-to-day minds. They're looking after their family. They're trying to keep food on the table. And it's not necessarily because they're lazy or they're asleep. It just means that their lives are consumed, are busy, and they haven't got room for it at that moment in their life. So it can be for any one of a number of reasons. And so to my mind, the best thing that any of us can do as reasoned, mature people is to always be, if not the adult in the room, ideally you'd want more than one or two, then be an adult in every room, and to speak up, to speak out. Don't let them bully you. Don't hunt down the enemy as such, but don't be shy of engaging people, of making the kind of connection that Charlie Kirk was happy to make with literally anyone, and to, if you can, to part obviously with. You don't have to change people's minds, but to part company with dignity and with mutual respect, rather than sort of dread. And incrementally, it would make a difference to society over time. That's sort of what I believe, anyway.
You can't fall into the trap of that they want us to fall into, playing their game by they'll provoke us, we'll respond back, and then they can point and go, see, it is you. Yep. That's what they're counting on. So you have to respond exactly, Dan, like you were just saying. You've got to recognize that for the game they're playing and go the way that you just laid out.
And that's mainly what we're like. The response on our side is not what they hope for. They were hoping for riots in the streets. They were basically hoping for Mr. Floyd 2.0 from the other side, and that didn't happen.
Well, no, they're I think they're really being disingenuous by pointing and saying, "Seeing it is you," because I don't recall, and I've been watching the news fairly constantly for the last few days. I don't recall seeing anything about the storekeepers boarding up their windows the last couple of days because they thought the people on the right were going to rampage through the streets and riot.
No, I don't.
Gee, wonder why nobody felt the need to board up their windows. Gee, I wonder why, because they know.
Yeah,
they know.
It's the response has mainly been what I would say is anger, but controlled and restrained anger, but just absolute fury, but justified fury without acting out. And I would say genuine sadness. Like they were hoping for something that didn't happen, because unfortunately the people that they're against, they are regular people, and regular people don't go burn down shops. I can be a grumpy person, and I can be very politically passionate. I've never had the inclination to, I'm mad, so I'm going to go burn down my corner store.
Right.
Normal people just don't. They expect everybody to act the way they would, and we don't. Regular people we have this thing called self-control, which the other side does not have. You get angry, and we all get angry, and everybody yells every now and then. I've been known to yell once or twice in my grumpy videos.
No.
But it's, we don't go, we have that limit. We kind of instinctually know where that line is.
Mm-hmm.
If we disagree with someone, we're not going to go and punch them in the face. That would be their first inclination. And the last thing I'll say, I think this is like the 10th time I've said the last thing I'm going to say, but the last thing I'm going to say is this shows that they've actually lost the argument. Because Steven Crowder did this a similar thing as well. I think his was what Prove Me Wrong or whatever, but a similar thing to what Charlie Kirk did. But the thing with Charlie Kirk is it was the respect thing. And this shows that they've basically lost the argument, because this is somebody who they generally, like, he would get riled up if, you kept going at him. But even when he got mad, it was still, controlled. But this was somebody who, they lost the argument with it, and he wasn't going to start throwing things at them the way they would, and they're not going to start burning things down. So what option do you have left? It's the option they took. I can't win the argument against you, so I'm just going to remove your ability to say anything.
Yeah.
And I think for regular people, people on the right and people on the center right already knew where this is, but I think there are a lot of those normal people that don't have an allegiance one way or the other, which is, I think, really the way it should be, because I don't think extremes on either side are necessarily a good thing. But I think a lot of those people who had been on the fence, I think if they looked at this objectively, and objectively what you have is somebody who was a hero to many young people who had been disenfranchised, somebody who was a genuinely good person. I wouldn't be and his very intelligent. I wouldn't be surprised if his IQ was 180 or higher. Like, the guy was an absolute, like, his brain seemed to work like a computer. Somebody who was willing to engage. And like, even with me, like I said, I'm not religious. I respected his religious opinions, and I understood where it came from. And I don't think you had to be religious to understand the message he was trying to get across. And I think the psycho end of the left did themselves a favor, because I think, we do have the internet. If regular people looked into the response, they're looking to, okay, I don't agree with everything this guy said. I'm sure a lot of people disagreed with him on abortion, but I don't think he really vilified you if you viewed it the other way. He would just argue his point. They see, somebody who is very articulate, who would argue his points, but would give you a chance to speak and say, okay, change my mind, prove me where I'm wrong. And then you see the other side where it's like, no, he's this, he's that. He wanted, like what Stephen King did. He wanted gay people ended or whatever it was. I'm like, no, one of his best friends and one of his mentors was Dave Rubin. That disproves that entire narrative right there. So that's where I'm going to end it.
Most of that context is easily found as well if you're willing to go and find it. And I think the closed minds are also.
I do recommend anyone who doesn't know about him, go and watch his long form videos for yourself. Where you see that's where you see the character of somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Where you one of these long form videos where he's just talking with people on campus. I think his character shines through, right? Yeah. Genuinely, and there's this. The narrative is he was a bigot, that he hated gay people, right? And he wanted he had no empathy. It's just this person in particular, who was nothing but good virtue, right? Is being defamed this way. I find it disgraceful.
Well,
But again, I find people doing it disgraceful. So all what's up?
Well, last thing I will actually say. Okay, this is the 11th time I've said this.
Go on.
But I think, and this will be the last thing I will say. I think the last sort of mission that he had undertaken was the other horrific thing we saw this week, which, the Irina Zarutska incident on the train. This was the last mission that he had undertaken. And I think, especially in his memory, this is one case where we need to carry on his mission, because this is one incident that shows you absolutely everything that is wrong with the Western world right now. And I believe the Trump's Department of Justice has now the absolute animal that was responsible for this. He's now also been charged with a hate crime, which is good. And I think it's good that we have the U.S. has the Trump administration in power when this is going on. So one of his, I'm pulling up his ex right here. His last post, actually, it looks like his wife had been posting it, but yeah, his last post was, here it is. If we want things to change, it's 100% necessary to politicize the senseless murder of Irina Zarutska, because it was politics that allowed a savage monster with 14 priors to be free on the streets to kill her.
Yep.
This was posted Eastern Standard Time, because that's where my Twitter stamps it. Time stamped at 1:34 Eastern Standard Time, September 5th, 1:34. He was killed at 2:20. This was basically the last thing he ever posted. So this must never be forgotten, ever. And now I'm going to drink my coffee, and that's the last thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think let's take a minute or so and let everybody sort of digest what we've been saying and what we've. I mean, I found this last hour helpful. I hope you have too. So we're just going to give it a minute or so, and then we'll get into talking about the things that we know you came here for in the first place. But if this has helped, then then that's a good thing, and we're happy to have had this conversation. And, leave us a comment, get in touch by all means if there are things that are playing on your mind. You can reach out to me by all means. I'm on social media, and or leave us a comment however you feel comfortable. But I hope it's not keeping people awake at night. If it is, that it isn't for too much longer. Okay. One moment.
On your last trip, did you discover what the Earth people eat? They eat a great many of these. They peel them with their metal knives. Boil them for 20 of their minutes. Then they smash them all to bits. They are clearly a most primitive people. For mash, get smash.
It's the Spacebook Live. More out there entertainment on YouTube and Rumble for Saturday, the 13th of September, 2025 and beyond. At the end of a trying week for all, without a doubt. We've got a far out panel here anyway to come and chat through some of the geekier activities of the week, if we can find them. With me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. We've got Mr. Bolstrek here, mate Chris.
Hello.
We've got the rabbi from another planet just back from his fabulous family holiday as well, racing back to the mic and the webcam to come and chat to us. And we've got the retro doc himself too, Mr. Gary Akers, back on deck too for more.
I do
of
love
the
that
same.
Enterprise hat. It's one of my favorites.
It's the what happened? Oh yeah. There
It's
you
the
go. Yeah.
replica of the one they wore in the pilot, right?
adored the
NXT
series
one.
when it was on, and I still think it's
Which Enterprise is that?
this is the
NX-01.
NX
Let's get a
Oh,
closer
okay,
look.
zero
At,
one. I
let's go
have
look at
one
close
with
look
the
at Gary's
swords,
bonds.
which is the Mirror Universe one, but I just wear the regular one.
Can
that's
I just say
great.
as a side, I would love them to do like a sequel mini-series, like the different, the third season of Picard, but
Well,
for
A TV
Enterprise,
movie like
that's been
Section
rumored.
31.
Well, it's
no,
rumored.
nothing like
No,
that.
Rabbi, that's been rumored, and it has to do with President Archer. But let's make it like Picard season 3.
That sounds kind of lame. I don't like President Archer.
No, they need to do the Romulan War, which they.
That's what I'm saying. The Romulan War,
yeah,
and they bring the Enterprise out of retirement and give it the secondary hull.
Right. Well, the problem with that is, like the original run was building right into the Romulan War, so they would have to explain how it delayed by 20 years because the show ended 20 years ago, and I don't think they have the budget to de-age everyone.
Well, if you're a reader, though, I think it was like 6 books so far that Christopher L. Bennett did, which is basically 6 books of the Romulan War. It takes place immediately after the series ended and carries through basically the.
You know what, Rabbi, I think I'm going to watch Broken Bow tonight. I haven't watched that in years. I'm going to watch that tonight.
Wow, that's nice.
From memory, that was, I'm a big Deep Space Nine fan. That's my jam. But when I look back and reflect on that era of Star Trek, for me, Broken Bow was actually, whatever you think of each series itself, was the best of those pilots, those 90-minute pilots.
They were all horrible. Aside from Broken Bow, every Star Trek premiere episode, like Encounter at Farpoint, bad. Deep Space Nine, I'm really glad they didn't go in that direction eventually, and they came to their senses. The Bajoran War was just dead on arrival. Caretaker just made me sad, and I remained sad for the entire 7 years that Voyager was on because it never got past the Caretaker. Broken Bow was like such a breath of fresh air. It's like, I love it or hate the theme. It was just, we'd finished Voyager, and I'm like, I'm disappointed. Give me something different. It was new. It looked different. It sounded different. It had a completely different theme. The first 2 seasons, if for those of you who've forgotten, didn't even have the name Star Trek. It was just called Enterprise.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is it falls to crap for about a season and a half. And then again, this is what happens when you listen to your audience, folks. They changed directions completely in season 3. And I think season 3 and 4 of Enterprise are 2 of the best episodes.
Yeah, no, the Xindi arc was great. But Chris, come on, you're not going to watch all of Broken Bow. You're just going to watch the gel rub scene.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
No, the best scene is the Orion slave girls dancing in the market, and they got their tongues coming out. They're grabbing like these little butterflies.
There you go.
Yes,
that's what they need to do. They need to do a new series of just focusing on the Orions. That would be
listen. If I could have some kind of VR sex fantasy genre, 100% would be an Orion slave girl or a Romulan enduring Ponfar.
Well, they are trying to supposedly do Star Trek for different age groups. It's all terrible, but I guess might as well. You might if you're gonna throw that Starfleet Academy crap on us, you might as well do an adult prawn series. Yay!
Oh, it's all gonna go. It's all gonna
actually
go wrong.
there are some dude there. I'm sure Rabbi would know about this. But yes, there are some Star Trek themed adult movies. Actually, I watched.
Listen, there's Doctor Who porn movies as well. It's incredible.
Watch along with one about 4 years ago. I can't remember whose stream I was on, but we did a 2-hour watch along of a Star Trek prawn movie, which actually had very impressive production for what it was. And it was an interesting experience. It's
Chris,
really. No, watching porn is something you should do on your own.
Like
okay,
hey.
Kids, if you don't know this now, there's some things you do on your own: eating cinnamon bun, right, and watching porn. These things
I wasn't the one that did it. I invited.
Crying.
Dude, I didn't even know what it was. I was invited to the stream. I'm like, okay, I'll just go see what it is.
Chris, look on your shelf and tell us what the titles are. I'm kidding.
The horny Spock. I don't know. There were some interesting titles. Well, you just go to the interwebs. You can get them on the interwebs.
I'm telling you, Vulcan during Pon Farr. That was actually a scene in one of the Peter David's Star Trek.
No, Rabbi, I don't want to know what goes on during Vulcan Pon Farr.
Yes, you do.
When you put something for 7
yes,
years,
you do, mate. Let me tell you.
What?
As your rabbi, let me tell you. Yes,
that's into the violent stuff. It's like
that's what I guess if she's getting.
Chris, didn't you see Star Trek 3? All they do is just rub fingers. That's all it is.
That's how it starts. Actually, no. Here's what you need to do. DS9. Because Worf and Jadzia were always going in with broken bones. I want to know what was actually going on.
Oh, they were having crazy sex.
Behind that.
I'm sorry, you didn't pick that up. Yes, no, they were having crazy sex.
Oh, yes. So I would be interested to see that, just out of morbid curiosity. Exactly how did you end up injured like that every day?
Okay.
Well, I suspect, Chris, I suspect that for the purposes of Pon Farr at the Vulcan Academy, they probably did prepare their own public information films there to guide young Vulcans into adult life. Bravo. And if only we had one of those. We haven't got any of those, sadly. We'll put our feelers out and see what we can get. In the meantime, we'll have to make do with this. But nonetheless, this is a somber lesson, I feel, Chris, that you're delivering us this week, which I think there are a few people out there that will look at this new film that you've selected and think, God, if only I'd have thought of that. So do you want to tell people what to expect generally?
Yes. So hello, folks. Today we're going to get another lesson in workplace safety. And the lesson here is that the human body is not meant to contort that way. And Rabbi, we just chased Rabbi away, so he won't get to see it. Oh, you're still here, Rabbi.
Chris, I'm still reeling. I'm still reeling from the fry cook incident.
Yes, and actually, at some point, because the very first one, the fry cook, we couldn't actually see it the whole because we didn't have the audio. So I think maybe next week we may actually replay that one. I'll give Dan so we can finally see it with sound, because it's so much sadder when you hear the girl's happy story at the end, followed by the beginning, followed by horror. So I'll send you we'll do our first rerun with sound. But today, so this is a lesson about factory safety, and this dude is about to have a very bad day. So play it, Dan.
Oh no.
Ah oui, c'est en le français, le Québec. Alors, you must be safe in the belle province, Quebec. So, what did we learn today, folks?
Don't go round the back of a large piece of machinery without any kind of headgear. Oh, dear me.
This is like something out of the Alien Earth manual of workplace safety. You know,
and again, now this would have been for my French people in Quebec, but again, they would play these at all hours of the day. You could be watching your happy sitcom or having nightly dinner, and then that shows up. So there you go. So for next week, we were gonna learn more about drugs, but I think I'm gonna push that off a week because I've been meaning to do this since Gary brought it up. So next week we're going to do a rerun of the first film that is also one of the most notorious Canadian films, because this is very, very nasty.
With added context.
Well,
Quite, yeah.
first time, we kind of threw
And
it at
sound.
Dan at the last minute because these were at a sort of like a secondary thought, but it didn't have sound the first time we saw it because she has a happy story at the beginning of this, which makes it even more like what kind of sick bastard came up with this. So so next week we're gonna go back to the kitchen and learn about fries, and then the week after that we're gonna learn about drugs.
That's not worth coming back for, everybody. I don't know what is. We do have more people that have joined us, including Archer Collin. We've got him in the live chat, and David Millings in the live chat too. There he is. Brings a whole new meaning to the nickname Bones. I think is that a Star Trek thing, or is it a?
Yes, it was. That name has been used literally in I think actually the very naughty movie we were watching. Yes, so there's an alternate reason as to why he's called Bones, but I can't say it on here because it will get Dan kicked off the interwebs.
Yes, best not mentioned. Sounds like best not mentioned. Okay, so we're going to motor into the next segment too, because I know people enjoy it when we talk about this. It always plays very, very well. We don't talk about it very often. Sadly, it's in this instance, it's not the best of news anyway. It could be worse, I think, maybe. Let's find out.
Wake up, Commander. Wake up, Commander.
What?
Time for bed. Don't forget, clean your teeth and wash behind your ears. Try this new McLean's whitening. Used daily, the advanced formulation gently helps break up stains, leaving teeth whiter. Look.
Yeah, but you're a computer.
Oh, never heard of computer dating? Don't wake up.
New McLean's whitening for a brighter, whiter future.
Yes, this is the Spacebook Live, where we talk all out there entertainment. We peruse our shelves, our collections, our playlists, and talk about stuff from the past, the present, and the things we're looking forward to in the future. When it comes to this particular show, it sort of falls into all three, really, because there's never really a time where I'm not watching it in the present. It's definitely from the past, but it's also has a future, or had a future, until very recently. Things were quite happy when we last spoke about it. It looked like all systems would go, but now maybe not, because everybody involved with Red Dwarf has gone, they've changed their tune. It's gone very, very quiet. And it does look like finally Red Dwarf may be coming to an end. So the plug has been pulled again on Red Dwarf, this time by UK TV. Now, it can't come as any coincidence that UK TV have done this not long, only a couple of years after the BBC has taken full ownership of the entire venture. So what they've decided is that across their various channels that they make content for, that making new drama and comedy, they're only going to be prepared to do that to a certain budgetary limit and a set of specific genres too. That doesn't include either comedy or sci-fi. So Red Dwarf, the perennial sci-fi comedy show, is fucked when it comes to UK TV. They've cancelled the new production, a planned 90-minute episode, which they greenlit about 18 months ago. So, of course, Doug Naylor, who was one of the original creators on the show, he took that commission, and as you would do, he went off and wrote it, Rabbi. You know, you would do that if you're commissioned to write something that high profile. It's been off screens for quite a long time as it was, but obviously this is a really important show. And UK TV and their Dave channel were part of a major relaunch of it back in 2009. So it has had a longer innings over there, but the show stretches back far further than that, all the way back to 1988, when series 1 and 2 were both screened within a few months of one another, leading to a hugely culturally significant series that ran, I'd say, almost for 5 or 6 calendar years, regularly with new seasons on screen. It was a massive part of my student lifestyle, this show. So quotable, and each of the characters became sort of household names, really. It was cult but with a huge C. Everybody knew about Red Dwarf in the same way, almost to the extent of shows like Blackadder and Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. They fell out, sadly, the way a lot of creative partnerships do. They fell out eventually, splitting off to do completely different things. But when the last time we saw Red Dwarf back in 2020, it was still with Doug Naylor as its main writer, producing this feature-length story, The Promised Land, which, in my view, was a real return to form for Red Dwarf. After that, though, everything went dead quiet as Naylor and Grant became involved in a really quite ugly legal battle over the rights, the whole Simon and Garfunkel thing. They came out of that, and we reported on it at the time. They were talking about moving forward with all these new projects, new books, which Rob Grant was going to write, and TV stuff, which Doug Naylor was going to remain there to sort of spearhead. And now here we are again. It does look like it's all going to have to stop, at least for the time being. So had you seen this story break, Gary? You're a big Red Dwarf fan, and what are your thoughts on this getting cancelled effectively yet again by another network?
Well, of course, it's unfortunate. I mean, I love Red Dwarf. I mean, the fact that it's been going nearly 40 years is just kind of mind-boggling to contemplate. But at the same time, I mean, we'd all like our beloved franchises to go on forever, but at some point, we have to kind of yield to the ravages of time. I mean, I know that Robert Llewellyn, is almost 70 now. Danny John Jules is in his mid-60s. So for age, and Chris Berry's been dealing with health issues. So it seemed like that circumstances were kind of conspiring that an end had to be reached at a certain point. It's just unfortunate that that end couldn't be, is like forced on everybody instead of the writers crafting. And I heard that one of them knows how it would end if they could do it. It's too bad that we don't maybe even get like one last special to kind of like wrap up the story, leave on a high.
Yeah.
Maybe they still can. I don't know the mechanics, Dan. You're probably much more.
Well, Doug Naylor has let slip what the plot, generally speaking, would be. And he said that in it, Craig Charles, again playing Lister, would travel back in time, this time to help his 23-year-old self escape from the stasis chamber that he was put in originally in the first episode. Whilst at the same time, Chris Barry's Rimmer would also be teaming up with his younger self to hunt the Listers down on behalf of the JMC. So it's got that kind of Looper, Ryan Johnson's film Looper. It's got that kind of feel to it.
Good movie. Don't mention that name.
And that sounds like kind of like there's like an all good things type of the TNG kind of like flavor to it. But like I said, do that, and I don't know, maybe put it on streaming or whatever. But just say, okay, this is the end. This is not just another, romp with the boys. This is crafted as the end.
Or the beginning, which is the first episode called The End, right?
Yeah.
So they call it the beginning. Look, what's annoying about this is, they're probably too long in the tooth to really do another one. But because of greed and stupidity, we missed out on, 2, 4, I think 6, 7 of these 3-episode seasons.
Yeah.
Right. And we could have had a real good run with them. Right. And it's like, I think what's the name's too old. If you reboot it, you can. But I mean, like, I don't know. You'll probably screw it up.
Mm-hmm. That breakdown of possible ideas for expanding the if not the franchise, certainly the IP, was interesting. If you remember, we looked at this a good 18 months, 2 years ago, and there's some interesting ideas in the mix there that all came out as part of that court battle. But it was pie in the sky. Nothing was greenlit. Nothing had been worked up into even a treatment. It was just ideas.
Sorry, can you see? I can see Netflix picking this up.
Maybe.
The story swung in the other direction now. And apparently Doug Naylor is saying that there are actually other studios, interested parties now.
I did see that he was hopeful of having conversations, but I don't know.
It's spin, really, probably. Yeah. Right, so we can get a meeting at Netflix.
But again, if you're going to do it, you've got to do it soon. You've got to take Chris Berry's, health issues into consideration. This is not like they can, screw around for like 5 more years in the hopes that someday they can get it going. Another option, convert the whole thing into a radio script and do it as a one final radio play with all of them there.
It would work beautifully on audio, and they could potentially
Audible will bite your hand off for that, wouldn't they?
They could dial it back, couldn't they? Even to whichever series they wanted to tell stories in, if need be. If they wanted to tell a definite conclusion, they could do that. But they could also do the thing that Big Finish do, or do the thing that other franchises do. This, lots of different franchises, lots of different brands. They do this. I think it would open things up for them. Obviously, Naylor's preference is for television, because I suppose when you've written something for television, you'd like it to be for that purpose. We've got a quote here from Doug Naylor. The cast were all on board for this special, and I'd been told to start writing. I just signed the contract when I got the email. They were no longer going to commission scripted comedy at all, and that did include the Red Dwarf special. We've got a quote from UK TV on the matter as well, the baddies in the story. UK TV said they've got no current plans to commission further episodes of Red Dwarf, but went on to say it's been a privilege to work with Doug Naylor and the cast in a relationship that began with the Back to Earth specials. They premiered to 4 million viewers. That was unheard of for a non-mainstream terrestrial channel at the time. And we've subsequently produced 3 full series, a retrospective celebration, and Red Dwarf's first ever feature-length episode, The Promised Land. So that's all they say, really. It's like, we've done all this. What more do you want? Well, I think when you've commissioned a dude and fans were waiting, I don't know. Obviously, business is business. But I really do feel for the cast, feel for Doug Naylor, and the massive dedicated Red Dwarf fan base. I love this show. I thought I was nuts about it. But when you meet this real hardcore Red Dwarf fans, that's the only show they seem to watch. They're really hurt by this. And I can't say I blame them after waiting for 5 years and legal battles and everything else. It does sting a bit.
I've always been kind of mixed on this. When we first started talking about, I guess it was 3 years ago. And I think at that point, the rights were split. I think that's
right.
I don't know. I think I would be okay with a final episode. But I think Red Dwarf has had such an amazing run over so many years. I think it's one of these franchises that does kind of need to end. And I would be fine with, another feature length, send off. But if they'd want to carry this out for a few more seasons, I'm like, you don't want to lose that magic, which they still had in 2020 when they did their most the Promised Land. But it's just give them a fond farewell. But I don't think this is a franchise. I think there are some franchises that stop rebooting it, stop bringing it back, and just give it a good final end.
Yeah, and
that's what I would be happy with. And don't do a spin-off, don't reboot it. It's just leave it as it is. Give them a.
There's no shame. There's no shame in 37 years of with several gaps. 37 years of success.
Yeah. Like it's insane when you think of how long this ran. Like it started 88 in the UK.
Yeah.
And we got it in North America starting in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird. I've been watching this show myself for 35 years. You guys have been watching it for 37. This show has been running for longer than the average person's working career. So I think it's and as much as I do like the return in the 2010s, I think mainly those first 5 or 6 seasons during its original run, I think there's a certain magic and a certain perfection and just a certain perfection of comedic timing in those seasons that really hasn't been matched elsewhere.
Yeah,
maybe some have come close. So I think just leave it at that. We have this great show, and there are enough episodes. It's been around long enough that
I think you're right
to revisit. And people are even in the live chat here on YouTube and Rumble. People are dropping the old catchphrases: "Smoke me a kipper," "I'll be back for breakfast." All this stuff that's 30 odd years old, but it's still funny. PD Rich reminds us that this thing that BBC Studios are doing now that they own UK TV, this is the reason why the long-running successful sort of celebrity game show Taskmaster with Greg Davies, that's now moved to Channel 4 because it was too big. It had become too expensive. It had become too high profile, and it didn't fit in the UK TV portfolio anymore. So maybe that's the same for Red Dwarf. Maybe a path through to Channel 4, heavens above. But if they are able to find a home for this, I think that would be cool. But generally speaking, with a sober mind, I can't argue with what you've all said about this. I think that with a heavy heart, maybe the time is right for Red Dwarf to
one comment that I read earlier, which kind of stung when I first read it, but then you, like I said, you have to eventually, acknowledge reality. Somebody said that, I don't want this. This can't become like Last of the Summer Wine in space.
Oh God.
And then you think, well, okay, that's kind of harsh, but no, that's totally true.
You could only tell that story once. You could do it well, but tell it once, and then that really should be the end. You couldn't do, because Last of the Summer Wine was more story than it ended up being. But they did retread a lot of the same ground on that show, and you couldn't do something like that with Red Dwarf because there are so many other things that's not why people are there. It's that conversation we've had with the dispute between us on the Alien show. That's fine, but that's not why people are there. And I think with Red Dwarf, you'd find that too. It becomes something else. And although Red Dwarf has changed, it's only ever really been down to an increase in budget and ambition for it. It's still really at its heart always been the same show, and it did have its time in the sun. They managed to almost catch that lightning in a bottle again, almost, certainly enough for the channel that it was on when it was on Dave. Now it could be time to put it to rest, and it needn't be forever, but certainly in this current form. I think that what's his name, David Rennick, who wrote One Foot in the Grave, who created Jonathan Creek and all those shows, he's gone into retirement, and he's happy to leave his shows at rest, his concepts, his IPs, his brands, the things that he's famous for, unless he feels that they're spent. He feels that the story's told. He can't do anything further with them. I think he's just written a One Foot in the Grave, or updated his One Foot in the Grave novel from years ago or something. But he's happy to sort of let it all stand as it is. And I can see why Doug Naylor feels as he does. He's an immensely creative man, and he's got a new book out right now. We wish him every success with that. It sounds like a lot of fun. It's like a kid's adventure book. It looks brilliant. But I think, well, maybe he should concentrate on all of that and bring that to life. And then maybe in a few years' time, the fog around Red Dwarf might clear, and there may be some more options elsewhere, somehow, somewhere, with whoever. And maybe it'll look and feel differently, but I don't want Red Dwarf to sort of to stagger on and to be unloved and to be the like some sort of bagman, desperately looking for a home on whichever channel will have it in any form. I think that would be undignified.
Well, but see, I don't understand. I mean, Doug Naylor has to realize that, as you just described it, in a few years, your options will decrease. They won't increase. Right. It's like your options will become less and less and less as time goes on. So it doesn't sound like he, realizes that. I don't know. I'm curious, Dan, what does your gut tell you about the likelihood of this ever happening somewhere? What's your...
I think this could just as easily get commissioned middle of next week by some other channel.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Just for all it's a license to print money. I'm like, you're going to make money off this. Like, I say, don't go as far as doing a feature film. You might lose something off that. But if you do like a made-for-streaming movie, you're going to make money off that. But also, Red Dwarf is one of those things that will always sell on physical media. And I'm actually still the Promised Land. I ended up having to get that on DVD, and I still just have it on DVD because this was during the event. It came out during the events of 2020, and you couldn't find anything anywhere. And I managed to find one copy at Walmart on DVD. And so, but yeah,
and also, Chris,
you'll make your money.
everything 90s. The 90s is experiencing a somewhat of a comeback right now. 90s music, 90s movies, and 90s TV to some degree. I'd say Red Dwarf could well find itself getting sort of brought up back to the surface of pop culture with a number of other things. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. The series is about to get re-released yet again, and this one I'm interested. You know, I've said about these things. I'm buying some things. I'm rebuying things. I'm triple dipping, buying something for the last time. This could well be another example of that. This is out in just a fortnight's time, 3 weeks' time, October the 6th on Blu-ray.
Wait,
box
what?
set for the.
This is all I need.
Wait, no, God damn it! Wait,
for the very first time on Blu-ray, absolutely everything. So all of the BBC stuff,
my lord,
all of the UK TV stuff.
Okay, is it even available in Region 1 complete collection? Come on.
That's why you got to get a region-free Blu-ray player, Chris.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Region 1. God damn it. Well, actually, I could I could buy it right now anyway because yeah, damn it.
This would sell in Region 1.
Oh, it would, but they're stupid. And this is Warner Brothers in Region 1. Warner, put this out. Like you put out Dr. Nutty. Put this out. Nobody wanted Dr. Nutty.
Okay, but is there anything new on this? Like I bought the Blu-ray when it came. Oh, it's got okay. So I got seasons 1, 2, and I got everything post BBC individually when they came out. So there's nothing new there for me, I guess.
Well, when I say me too, actually, I haven't bought The Promised Land yet, and I haven't got the series before. So there's two that I've never bought, and I don't own any Red Dwarf at all on Blu-ray. Everything since Back to Earth has been shot in HD. So this would probably actually be worth my while getting, plus the fact the Body Snatcher collection's in here, which I never got round to buying. I've got a bootleg copy of some of the stuff.
Were those the remastered?
Yeah.
Like I was just going to ask you, Dan, if this set includes the remastering that they did for like
literally
seasons
every single thing of Red Dwarf is in this set for the first time.
Okay.
One of the smartest things they ever did.
We don't get it, Gary. It doesn't look like it's a Region 1. So thank you, Warner Brothers. Thank you. It's you give.
Well, no, I mean I have a region-free Blu-ray player, so I was just checking the price.
Oh no, I don't have a region-free. I'm just mad, Warner, because you put out Dr. Nutty. Nobody bought Dr. Nutty. Why'd you give us Dr. Nutty and not this? You suck. Okay, there's your rant.
Well, you know what? This is only a little bit more than what another Blu-ray set from another show costs. So actually, that's not bad.
Yeah, but I don't want to buy me a special Blu-ray. I hate the region.
32 discs. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, Gary, as a rule, I never buy Region 2 stuff because. One of my own stressors about physical media is the ability to play things in the future, and I didn't want to add that into the mix. And I'm gonna have this set, but if my region-free Blu-ray player dies, I can never watch these things again. So I'm like, okay, so Warner, if you're watching this, okay, just basically take your Dr. Nutty sets. Take all the packaging out. Just throw it in the dumpster. You could write it off for taxes. Nobody wanted it. And you can even take the discs because you can recycle these discs. Take the discs with that degeneracy on it. Just, recycle them. I don't know. Put them in, make new plastic, whatever. There you go. It's recycled. We're being environmentally friendly. So you can do something nice for, people and put out Red Dwarf. But no Red Dwarf. I look at them. Oh, there's Dr. Nutty. Oh, it's on sale. Yeah, that's because nobody wants it. It's $19. No. $19 is too much to pay me. That ain't going on my shelf. Give me Red Dwarf. Okay, I'm mad.
Yeah, I got the. Did you ever buy the Starbug toy? Because I have that and it's gorgeous. It's like the big one where you have like the little figures inside it. Have you seen that one?
I think I've seen it. I don't
know. It's really nice. It's really one of the smartest things they ever did as well in documentaries for the newer ones. They took the model for the remastered Red Dwarf or the Red Dwarf, which was very long and pencil shaped and looked kind of weird and didn't work. And they just cut the end and the bottom off and stuck them together to make a red dwarf shaped red dwarf, right? And it really worked when they need to do it in HD.
I just
So
know
that's
I'm going
Red
to end
Dwarf
up.
Everything, October the 6th on Blu-ray. UK edition there, but it sounds like the more resourceful of us can pick it up somehow. Let us know how you get on with that. I think it's £79.99 UK pounds, and it's available for pre-order. I think I'm going to have to get this. It's even got my favourite version of the logo on it as well. So
That is true.
this could well
By the
be.
way,
This could
have
well
you
be a
ever
thing.
seen the last episode on the BBC run? Wasn't very good, and they had an original cut of it, which was totally different and much better.
Not that I'm aware of, although I might have
go
done.
and find that one from season 8, I think 8 or 9. It's called Only the Good, and it was the original. Totally different. It's a totally different episode and much better.
Oh, I liked it. Well, that's the reason why the original releases, those original DVDs from well over 20 years ago, are fabulous.
Yeah.
They were well stocked at the time, certainly in a comparison to the other British BBC sci-fi show that we try not to mention. Yes. So to think what they could have found in the last 20 odd years, I know that subsequent releases did have extra things put in there. The Body Snatcher set isn't just the remastered episodes. There's other stuff in there, including a feature-length documentary about the making of Series 1, the entire how they made Red Dwarf in the first place. All of that is in this. So it's largely unmissable. So whilst we console ourselves with the fact that the project has gone a little bit tits up at UK TV, finding this in your Christmas stocking, I think might not be a bad end to the year at all, everybody. I also want to wish Chris Barry the best. Absolutely. He has been experiencing, he's been in poor health this year. He hasn't disclosed this publicly, the nature of it, but I think he's issued a statement to say that he's on the mend and he's taking care of himself, and he hopes to be back on the convention circuit to some degree or another by the end of the year, as soon as the end of the year. So he's obviously fighting through and taking time to get fit and get well before he can get back to his fans, because they're all four of them. And Norman Lovett, Hattie Heydrich, everybody else connected with the show, Chloe Annett, they're all much loved figures, aren't they? And it wouldn't be Red Dwarf without any of them. I only have to look at pictures like this, and it makes me laugh. But it does seem like Red Dwarf itself, apart from those brand new Blu-rays, is shuffling off.
Chloe Annett. Other than that, they're all important.
Yeah. My favourite was Claire Grogan, but I'd always fancied Claire Grogan.
Actually, do you remember, was it this season 3 opener? Or was it season 3? Sirens.
Backwards.
Right.
Oh, that's season 4, yeah. Series 4.
Yeah, season 4 opener Sirens, where the psychic aliens would read your mind and give most what you wanted.
Yes.
Right. And first the cat was like, sorry, his fantasy. It was like sexy women going, "Hi, we want you to come and impregnate us." Right. But they did have Kachansky on the next one. Right. And was it Anita Dobson in it as well?
Anita Dobson was in that too. Yeah. We've got Komodo watching in the live chat on YouTube, and we have Stephen Brannick who says, "Rest in peace, Red Dwarf." Let's hope they are able to resuscitate it.
Absolutely.
Paul PD Rich is asking, does it have both versions of Red Dwarf USA pilot?
No.
Yes.
No, find out on YouTube.
They are in this set. Along with a special along with a special documentary specifically about Red Dwarf USA. That is all on there. And Colin asks how much? $79.99, and you get 13 seasons in there. And
I hate you.
Well, wait. Here's the thing, though, because I was just checking on Amazon, and the price new, Dan, as you just said, is $79. But right now, and I don't know who chose this price. Right now, you can pre-order it for $66.66. I don't know who came up with 6666 as the price.
That's a bargain.
But and
I would pre-order that.
It is a bargain because you get 32 discs for this apparently, and on the order form I saw, Dan, that one of your favorite movies, Rocky Horror Picture Show, the steelbook for that is 30. So for half the price, you get one disc for there versus 32 for this. That's a bargain.
I wish I could order it, Warner.
Red Rose Kirby's watching on YouTube and says, I would love one more time to go to Dimension Jump, a Red Dwarf convention. I've never been to a Red Dwarf con, although I was told that I should have. Apparently Dimension Jump was brilliant. I think they do them now and again. But I will settle for watching seasons 1 to 13. So it sounds like Rose is a mark for that brand new box set. Let us know what you think of that. The whole Red Dwarf story. What's happening there? Who have they gotten into bed with? Maybe it'll happen, and magic, some sort of magic will happen, and Red Dwarf will reappear in one form or another. Obviously, our best wishes to Doug Naylor and everybody involved in the project. For all that we've said, we do hope it continues and finds a home. We love Red Dwarf. We love you. So we have only the best of wishes for the entire endeavor. But if it does end here, it wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world. It's had a long, healthy run. We love the show, and it never, ever outstayed its welcome, I feel. So let us know what you think of all of that. Of course, in the comments, I'm sure there'll be lots to say in one way or another. Okay, let's have a blast of this.
Oh, hi. Everyone has plans for the future. Some big, some not so big. But it's always nice to have something to look forward to. And I've found a faster way to save for what I want. Right, Maury? It's an accelerator account from ASB Bank. It pays a high rate of interest plus bonus interest every month if I don't make any withdrawals. Whatever you're saving for, you'll get there faster with an accelerator.
You find us back in the Bonket here for more as the cinematic movie anthology. The saga spinning out from that, it continues to grow on the smaller screen. I was going to say on the small screen. Has anybody got a small screen in their home anymore? I don't know. Mine seem to get bigger and bigger, don't they? But FX and Hulu are delivering finally on the 40-odd year promise of an Alien TV show. They've roped in Noah Hawley as producer and writer and sometime director to shepherd it through to television. And this all started to appear about 5 years ago now, I think. So it's taken a long time to happen. Now it's finally with us, of course, lining up with the original series of movies and spinning out, bearing its own teeth to tell its own stories and tap into themes that are perennial and particular, I suppose you could say, not just to the Alien series itself, but to harder sci-fi as a thing. Noah Hawley is the man behind Legion and Fargo. Again, very particular kinds of shows. You wouldn't necessarily describe him as a cult creative, but then again, is he a proper populist either? I don't know. Either way, it was a very curious choice to bring us Alien Earth, this 8-part series that we've been watching piecemeal week by week here. And we're going to talk about a whole new episode of it right now. It's set, if you remember, just 2 years before the events of the classic sci-fi thriller Alien, when a mysterious deep space research ship has crash landed on Earth and put humanity face to face with a set of fearsome, unknown life forms, beginning a biological arms race. You're going to get our raw reaction and review to the 6th episode, The Fly, written by series creator Noah Hawley and supervising producer Lisa Long this time, and directed by Olga Hochstetter. I don't think I'm any better at pronouncing that now than I was previously. But of course, this is the first episode since the flashback episode, the extra long flashback episode last week, which filled in so many blanks. You think, okay, now we know a little bit more and the characters are more rounded out. And more to the point, now we've had our appetite for more conventional alien thrills kind of fed a little. Are we coming to the 6th installment hungry ourselves, I suppose, for what will prove to be the final act, this final set of 3, and what of the mysterious character of Morrow, who they moved very much in the center when we last spoke. The Fly, used to be a single by U2. But it turns out that's the latest episode of Alien Earth here. So, Rabbi, here we are. You've been thrilling to this practically every week, whichever twists and turns it's taken. Last week we got something largely completely different with, if not a completely different cast.
Episode.
To me, it didn't feel completely different. It felt like a different aspect of an alien, the alien world. Look, here's the thing. Obviously, I love this episode. And I was just trying to think, what does that mean? Thinks this is so quintessentially alien, whereas Bowles here clearly doesn't. Which is we all have people of difference and all that. And look, for me, and I don't know where Bowles is, right? I feel that the Prometheus and Covenant things are legitimately alien, and they take a step back from the alien itself to see more of the world and the universe it exists in. And I find that, generally speaking, quite interesting, right? And they're telling, generally speaking, a new story which has the alien as a peripheral creature, right? Central but peripheral at the same time. You got the whole story, and I hope they finish it someday, of the, what's the android called?
David.
Is he David? Yeah, Magneto plays him. It Michael Fassbender, right? And it's really that story, right? And you got a lot going on beside. You got the engineers. So this seems to be doing the same thing. It's taking a step back and looking at the world it came from. And look, for me, I love the idea of artificial sentience and artificial intelligence. So I am riveted by the scenes of the kids in the adult bodies, especially the one who's being tortured essentially by Morrow, right? To go, and I like the black guy, the black kid, who I don't know that actor, but boy, is he selling it me. He's a kid, right? I feel like it's a kid who wants to go and play video games, but at the same time, I like the horror. In this episode, I enjoyed the. We did get alien action. By the way, I will point out the chest hugger here, not the chest, the face hugger, right? Is the I think a lot more sexual, for me, much more disturbing because of it, right? It's very glistening, it's underbelly. It's very gooey. There's bodily fluids dribbling out, and it's like when it wants to leap up and is thrust itself in your mouth. Oh God, it's disgusting.
I'm unsure as to how this series has been structured, and when it's finished, I'm going to seek out some previews, interviews with the creatives, particularly Noah Hawley, Gary, because I'm curious as to how this has come to being. I didn't want to watch too much before the series started, not only out of fears of spoilers, but I didn't want to see the joins. I didn't want to see too much of the framework. I was imagining I'd be really swept up in this. That hasn't ultimately been the case. That being said, it is a fascinating production. For me, why I'm so interested in it is in the ways that it's succeeding, because it is succeeding in some respects, even for me, but also in the ways that I feel that it's breaking down where and why, what I feel the problems are, and how it was put together. I've wondered when we had that flashback last time, and now there's 3 left. You think, okay, so what's the shape of this? Is it in compartments? There was episodes 1 and 2 had a certain had a tone and a flavor, and had a balance, had a pace. The following 2 again felt like something connected but different. You got last week's the flashback episode, which was an alien movie done for the TV. So what are the next 3 going to be like? Yeah. As it happens with episode 6, The Fly, I don't feel any the wiser, really. We've got the premise here for the people who haven't seen it yet. Tensions rise as powerful enemies confront each other. A dangerous plan unfolds, and curiosity leads to deadly consequences in the 6th episode. What are your thoughts, Gary? I mean, you've heard the rabbi there is still very, very happy with this.
I'm very happy that this is right up the rabbi's alley, that he's enjoying it so much. First of all, I've got to say that for an episode that was called The Fly, I was very disappointed that Jeff Goldblum was not in this episode.
Yeah.
But I have to say that between last week's episode and this one, part of me wishes that this series would have been titled dumb people doing stupid things.
Okay.
And we got, last week was like an hour and 4 minutes of that. And this week we have people doing just people who are supposed to be scientists, just doing incomprehensibly boneheaded things. From the scientist who feels some reason to go into a chamber with an alien in it to drag out what is clearly already a dissolving corpse. So why bother at that
Even
point?
I wondered about that.
And then we have the child, and this is the sad element of it, because we can't forget that is still a child in that adult's body that gets killed very gruesomely. But again, if you accidentally ripped off the little door, leave it until Kirch gets back and it gets fixed, but again, they've got to progress it. So it seems like the way, Dan, you were just talking about the structure of the whole thing. It seems like for about 2.5 episodes was Act 1, which was the crash and the exploration of the ship. And then we got about an episode and a half of the ramifications from that as everybody was kind of resetting and the initial investigations on the island. And then we got an interlude, which was last week. And now the final 3 episodes, it seems like it's going to be like pedal to the metal of the chaos and the carnage as all the aliens get used. And we saw kind of a foretaste of it this week. I have to think that the body count's going to start increasing exponentially next week. And but again, I don't know whether Noah Hawley wants me to like and identify and like root for any of the characters on this show, but I'm 6 episodes in and I still really don't like any of the characters, and I find myself not rooting for any one of them. Maybe I'm not supposed to. I don't know.
See, I kind of like all of them. I like the robot doctor, right? I think I forgot about this whole plot line. This is fascinating. The whole thing of the synth with the alien. Where are they going with that? I have no.
I'm intrigued by this. I mean, I do feel this. I feel this element is a little well worn, but because the actress Sydney Chandler is so good as Wendy or Marcy, whatever she chooses to ultimately call herself, this character was initially what I was finding quite compelling. I felt quite protective, patriarchal towards her, weirdly. But after a few weeks, that seems to have completely evaporated.
She's evolved or metamorphosed into a different character than she was a few weeks ago. But Gary, I wouldn't argue with any of your criticisms either, right? 100%. It didn't really bother me. I mean, I was enjoying the ride. It just, stupid things. Fair enough. It's a fair criticism,
No, I'm not trying to think that. I'm not trying to obviously make somebody who is really enjoying it not like it. I just I honestly do wish that I found myself engaging more with it as opposed to just sitting back and observing it.
I am
the good news. I feel that the good news about. I feel that the good news about episode 6 was, in my case, a noticeable turning up of, which I think bled over from the interlude last time, a turning up of tension, intrigue, and conflict as well, which I felt had been very lacking in episodes 3 and 4. You can feel things tightening, stakes being raised. It's starting to become a lot more tangible what's at stake. The themes are all kind of connecting with one another, and so it is all coalescing more so, rather than being sort of disparate conversations by people in different darkened rooms. It's now starting to feel more of a thing. Yeah. But I still don't feel it has any real shape to it. But the biggest problem I'm afraid I have, and I was dearly hoping it wasn't going to happen this time, because some of the scenes, particularly with Boy Cavalier and the woman from Weyland-Yutani, at the beginning, they were quite charged, that confrontation. He has got her property. how are they going to reach their settlement whereby she can take collection of her property again? And how's he going to make sure that he gets what he needs before he's forced to return them to her? There was a degree of tension in that, but everything after that, what I would, and I noticed this, I thought, what is my problem with this, Chris? And what I realized was that when interesting things were happening that would make me sit up and pay attention, I would be sort of awake and alert. A new scene would start, and it would start very stylistically, very, very stylishly, and have a degree of atmosphere. And then each scene, it didn't matter which characters were involved, each scene would gradually sort of trail off, and it'd lose me to the point where it was, you described it before, a sleepy time. And we were back here again with this. I ended up going back and having to play certain scenes again because I was missing things, because I was bored out of my brains again. I don't know. It seems I can't help. I've got to place the fault at Noah Hawley for that.
Well, the pacing is definitely an issue. But my criticism, now that we're 6 episodes in, we've only had 3 out of 6 that have been actual Alien episodes. This is a case of we're not really getting what we were advertised, which is why I will no longer refer to this as Alien Earth. As you know, I may have a propensity for giving things nicknames, so I'm officially going to dub this Teenage Mutant Ninja Synths, or I will go TMNS for short. I guess the kids are preteens, but the acronym still works. So if you want a story about a bunch of kids in synth bodies having drama and discussing their synth bodies and things happening around their synth bodies and other things. Oh, and if you want conspiracy mystery box things about other things happening, then this is the show for you. If you're looking for an Alien series, you're better off watching actual Alien movies. So this is, and Rabbi, I'm glad you're enjoying this. I don't want to take away from your enjoyment, but I am bored to absolute tears. If I hadn't agreed to review this every week, I probably would have dipped out after this episode.
I would be gone as well. I hate to say it. I would. I was slightly. They were reaching me with this character, the character. I can't even remember her name.
The redhead one.
Yeah. So last week the week before, she believed that she could be pregnant, and they've reset, they've wiped parts of her memory, haven't they? And I thought that she was, the actress in question played the part so well. I was really drawn in. So Wendy has lost me, but this character's kind of managed to win me over, and I didn't see that coming. And I am finding some of the ideas are really interesting. And they're engaging me for a little while, but it can't hold my attention for longer than about 2 to 3 minutes at any given time.
Yes, sir. Gary. Oh no, I have got the Alzheimer's. Oh, Gary, you could listen too. I meant dear Dan. Hello, Dan.
Nibs.
That's the thing to everybody. I'll Svi too here. I'll accidentally say everybody's name. But see, the thing is, on its own, that could be an interesting series. But that's not what I came to see in my Alien series. I wanted, and we did get the face hugger. We finally got Alien scenes at the end of this episode, and we got one Alien episode last week. I did not come to see the Alien synths. And there was a comparison that I was going to draw, because in another recent series, this is exactly what happened, where we were sold one series and then ended up getting half of a completely different series. So I compared this to Chucky because it's the same thing. Right. So we were expecting a Chucky series, and I love Child's Play. I actually just spent my budget on getting the UK Child's Play. I got it this week. It's very nice. It's little storybooks. Spoilers, when we do our physical media thing next time, I'm going to show that off. But brilliant. But with Alien, we think we're getting an Alien series. Oh, we got maybe half of an Alien series. It was the same thing with Chucky. We thought we were going to get a Chucky series. And with the Chucky series, it's 2 halves. Half, some of the most entertaining stuff you will ever see, which Brad Dourif is incredible in this. So the Chucky stuff is awesome. The other half of the series is the bait and switch, which is some of the most cringeworthy, unwatchable stuff. So we were expecting to get a series based on Chucky, so we got half of that. The other half was and there's nothing wrong with this on its own, but not in my Chucky series. A gay teenage boy love story in my Chucky series. Again, similar to this. I was expecting my Alien series, but instead I'm getting Synths in Space while on an island. And with Chucky, people were mad about that. I was mad about that too, for the same reasons I'm not happy with Alien. I'm promised one thing, I get something else. And this could also, hopefully it doesn't degenerate to why Chucky eventually got canceled, because in my Chucky show, in the third season, right before it got canceled, we were subjected to a very graphic underage gay sex scene in my Chucky show. And that's fine for a different show altogether, but not in Chucky. So I use the Chucky comparison because what irritated me about Chucky is what's irritating me about this Alien show. I was promised the Alien on Earth movie or show that I thought I've been wanting to get since Alien 3 in 1993, because that's what it was supposed to be.
What we all wanted.
Yeah, I want to see, like, okay, that picture, Dan, that you're showing right now. I want to see an entire show of that. I don't need a side story that becomes the main story. I don't like it. Conspiracy theories. That was before we watched this. I said that was the one thing that I did not want. And season 2 baiting, and you can tell this is where it's going. I'm like, no, I'm bored. I am so bored with. I'm sorry, but when it comes to conspiracy mystery box storylines, J.J. Abrams ruined that forever. Person of Interest is probably the worst example. You can also Lost as another example. So I want my Alien show. It's Alien Earth. I want what's on the box, and I'm not getting what's on the box. And we're 6 episodes in.
You know what I worked out you want? You want a TV version of the very first ones that came out, especially the ones in color, the Dark Horse Alien comics, which was completely what you're describing.
I want this is Alien. I want a splatter fest.
Right.
I want my xenomorphs and face huggers. I want them in Times Square taking on New Yorkers. I want to see blood. I want to see body parts flying all over the place. I want to see carnage. I want to see death. I want to see entire cities blowing themselves up.
Certainly by
bores me to tears.
Certainly by episode.
That would literally bore me to tears.
No, this is boring me to tears.
Certainly by episode 6, I don't think it's asking too much for some of that to have been delivered. And for things to start to...
Even some of that, okay, so I want the splatter fest I want, but if we
get
get some
week,
of it.
Right, with the face hugger. I mean, look, in any TV show, whatever TV show you get, you normally get the 1 punch up, the 1.5 punch ups a week, right? That's kind of what it is.
That's true.
You did get a good higher octane action scene, and more than one.
At the end of episode 6 of 8 episodes,
I suppose we're thinking about an era of kind of
alien stuff every episode.
I think that was before event TV, when there was 24 episodes of something a year. And things like that had to be kind of rationed.
I felt this one delivered. Like, again, you got the bugs getting out and devastating. You have that. I love the whole manipulation with the Indian kid, but and also the attack when the face hugger got out. I mean, I thought that was a fantastic scene.
That was a good scene, but the problem, Rabbi, is it was at the end of the episode. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the synth and human body story, I think that could be, and I don't think it's being executed as well as it could be, but I think that could be a very interesting story. But I think it would be an interesting story as its own series. I think the problem that I'm having is they're integrating this whole other series into Alien. And I guess and it's subjective. It's the problems that I have with this are definitely nowhere near as severe as I've had with everything over the past.
I mean,
decade.
Look, it's not Star Trek Discovery, thank God.
No, it's it could be a lot.
How does this differentiate from the Prometheus and Covenant stuff, which seems to be doing a very similar thing of making the alien not the focus, but something. I need to rewatch those because all I remember is hating them. But also, if they're using that as a template, most Alien fans don't like those movies. See, I don't care about alien. I'm not really into the monster movie genre,
Well,
right?
and that
really...
actually makes, and that's sort of that. I think that's why we're coming at this from different
exactly,
angles.
because you clearly are. Like, I mean,
yeah.
my monster movies, I want to see Godzilla, right? I'm still halfway through the last Godzilla Kong one, which is so stupid, but I love it, right? But the see, this I find in a similar genre as Blade Runner or Blade Runner 21, whatever it is. It's got that
2150, I think.
Right.
Well,
I'm not optimistic about the Amazon one coming up, but like it to me, this is like hard science fiction with a bit of splatter thrown in, right? For me, the splatter is put on like a condiment.
But
right?
Chris, I think my expectation, though, my guess, again, purely a guess, is that I think the next 2 episodes are probably going to be ending up giving you exactly what you said you wanted all along. Because I think at this point in the series, I think we're done with, you know, them talking about what is humanity. I think we're done with the corporate wrangling. I think we're probably done with the whole, you know, let's have discussions about the ethics of scientific experimentation. I think at this point on, as was signaled with this episode, I think the last 2 hours are going to be where all the characters are basically now just potential cannon fodder now. And the only question is going to be who's going to get killed first.
There's an alien about pretty darn soon because it's already
I think that, and a lot of people do really love this series, and I think it comes down to expectations. When we go into something, especially if it's an existing franchise, I think everybody has slightly different expectations as to what they want from an alien show. And I think it's, you know, and this is perfectly fine. I think Rabbi and I both wanted different things going into this. And maybe it's because I'm a horror fan and I like watching splatter fest. And that's what I love about my alien movies. I think that's the difference there, where we both went in expecting different things. But I want to make very clear, this is infinitely better than 99% of what we've gotten over the past decade. You know, it's nice to have something that isn't a badly written woke disaster. So I will admit it, you know, the difference is, you know, I'm not getting what I wanted out of the show so far. We still have 2 episodes to go, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong if you're getting what you wanted out of this. Like I said, I will not write this, even if this continues being boring for the next 2 episodes. I will not write this off as unwatchable trash, because it isn't.
I think it's important to know, I heard part of an interview with Noah Hawley, no spoilers in what I'm about to say, this week. And he said that when he personally only considers the first 2 movies canon. He doesn't consider anything after Aliens canon. So the only things that he's interested in lining up with are the first 2 movies, and that he doesn't really honestly care whether anything he does contradicts anything that came after the first 2 movies. You know, I don't know how you guys will react to that, but that's how he's apparently is approaching this.
I mean, but the question is about the prequels more than the sequels, because Alien 3, you know, that's kind of a side story. Right? That's kind of like, you know, something like and same as Alien Resurrection. But where is he on the prequels? If he hates them, it could go either way. That's really interesting.
Well, Alien 3, because this is what we were supposed to get with Alien 3, and the disaster that was the production of Alien 3 is the stuff of legend. I believe to this day, David Fincher still refuses to even speak of that movie or acknowledge he ever had anything to do with it. And if you the later cut that came out with the Alien quadrilogy set improves Alien 3 a little bit, but the movie itself, it's a bit of a slog. The fascinating part, the behind the scenes story of that movie is so much more interesting than the movie itself. It was a disaster of epic proportions. It basically started as what we're getting right now, or the alien Earth idea, and then turned into aliens in prison. And although it's not the 4th one, so we'll give it that.
It's fine for Noah Hawley, you know, because obviously he's been making content for a long time now, scripted drama, high-end stuff that people have largely liked, very critically acclaimed, and it hasn't been it hasn't been repellent to audiences either. I think that his position on the first two films, only the first two films, is very reckless, quite arrogant, and fucking stupid. That series has been marketed time and time again. How many times have they put that box set out as a quadrilogy, as a saga? It's fine for him to think that way, but expecting the viewership to follow suit is an impossible. It's not just a tall order. It's astronomically high. He cannot seriously expect that.
How
I think he should conceive. He should conceive his project purely, and then after the fact, maybe go back to it and think, okay, let's bring those two movies back into play and adjust it accordingly. I think to push them completely aside is a very stupid thing to do. Rabbi,
yeah, it did. I mean, we have to hear it in context, but I think it's. Yeah. I just don't think it's relevant whatsoever to the story he's
telling.
Maybe
not.
Which is because it's 70. Even Aliens is 70 years later, right? I think that 70 years between Alien and Aliens is the territory he's interested in, right? Well, again, how are you going to contradict the third movie? It happened on a planet nobody knows about, middle of nowhere. And yeah, exactly. You could do another one set in the 27th century, but
you'd have to go out of your way to contradict a film like that. It's so isolated. I can see problems maybe with the fourth one because it's a little bit more connected, and there's more of the nature of the creatures is discussed and explored in that, and the history of, again from memory, I haven't seen it in a long time, to do with synths, conflict between humans and synths. So I can see problems potentially there. But to go out of your way to contradict that, I think would be quite reckless. So I'll look forward to hearing what Hall has got to say.
He hasn't done that as yet, as far as
well, I think
I'm aware of.
Well, I think there's also a problem. Like one of the outside of the woke issue of the few years, another problem with franchises, and this goes back decades with a number of franchises, is this discontinuity or just ignoring previous continuity, and then for the normie, it just, if you want to follow it, it makes it a mess. Like the two worst franchises for this were Halloween and the Terminator. Good luck following either of those timelines because it isn't. They're both multiple timelines at the same time, and that's a mistake as well. When you're like, okay, I'm gonna acknowledge this part, but I'm just gonna write over this. You can't do that. That's sabotaging your product. You're basically disuniting your franchise. And then you end up in a Halloween situation where there's literally 5 continuities in one franchise. You work around them. You don't have to make it explicit, but just make it fit. You can make the existing Alien movies, the good ones and the bad ones, fit within this if you do things properly. Although I think the big problem, which is in terms of the chronology, I would have put this later because one of the reasons is we can't have an Alien Splatterfest is we know there hadn't been an Alien Splatterfest. So if I were doing an Alien series,
or set it later or earlier, exactly. Chris, and then you could have avoided.
Later than what, Chris? The first movie or the second movie?
What's the last movie in the chronology?
Well, it depends. Again, you have Alien, and then which is 2022. There's like 75 years later for Aliens, and then like a couple, like 3-4 weeks later for Alien 3, and then add on another 4 or 5 centuries for Alien 4. So again, Alien 3 and 4 I think exist separately from the continuum of Alien and Aliens. Other than stylistically, like this series is I think primarily a stylistic one rather than a narrative one.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah, I do. I mean, I very much line up with Chris as regards this. I think this is probably where the divide is because for me, Alien, all of them, it is for the most part. And this is why I was happy enough for Prometheus not to bear the Alien sort of line in the title because it was more sci-fi. Well, but to me, actually, Alien movies are monster movies, and so I can't help but notice that if there's an aspect of this series that everybody likes, it is the addition of these creatures, particularly the eye creature
that
thing.
Is creepy as hell. Well,
this is having a kind of Baby Yoda effect in that everybody wants one of these things. It's incredibly popular. Everybody's recognizing it already. It's only been around for a month, and it's even leading to. It's even got me wishing. I haven't wanted a Funko Pop for years, but I'd kind of like this one.
Oh my God, they made a Funko Pop of it
too.
I said that as a joke the other week or whatever. Is this a real thing? Please tell me
It's
it
real.
is.
It's real.
That's
probably.
really funny.
I thought Funko Pops went out of business.
So did I.
I mean, look,
Oh,
this thing has really
did.
stolen the show, 100%. And it's
It's
like,
the
you
baby,
can't look at
it's
how
the baby
intelligent-
Yoda of 2025.
Well, it's not. Well, Baby Yoda was cute. This thing's terrifying.
This is going to be going to be the Cabbage Patch Kids for the for 2025
Well, yeah.
Dan, I'm sorry, I'm
match
going
with
to step out.
modern
I'm afraid
society.
I have to go and head off to synagogue for petulant prayers.
All right,
That
God
actually
bless,
is really
Rabbi.
where I am going.
I'm glad you could join us anyway on our Alien Watch.
Oh,
in
wait.
particular, Robin.
I cut out there for a second. Rabbi's leaving.
Everyone's leaving.
Say
I'm
it.
not being crackered.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Anyway, see you guys next week.
Bye
It's
bye.
always
See you
a
next
pleasure.
week.
Thank you again, Rabbi. Yeah, big fan of the eye thing. I think these would be big sellers at Christmas. Remote control ones, squidgy ones, plush ones, you name it. They're onto something with this. If people can stay awake throughout the.
I
the
will
rest of
say
it, in
that
my
this
opinion.
was this was to me in an episode where I just got again tired of people doing dumb things. I thought the sense of increasing dread that Holly infested this episode with, to me, was very successful. Where you just have the sheep just standing there motionless, watching everything that's going on around him, and strategizing where it intentionally bumps its head into the window to distract that guy so he lets the door close. It's like there's a intelligence and a strategy going on here that I think that he developed very well. That to me was the most successful part of this episode. Was the eye.
It's very creepy. I don't think I want myself a plushie of that because it's scary.
It's a kind of reanimator quality, I think, about it.
And I do, since we're talking about the episode, I suppose, I'm curious to see what you guys think is Kirsch's, the android. What's his end game here? Because clearly at the end, when the guy says, "Hey, anything wrong?" and he goes, "No, everything is," and I was like, what is his end game here? That's actually what I'm trying to figure out.
The problem I have is that I'm struggling to care.
Yeah, no.
Even Timothy Oliphant I'm finding him disappointing.
Yeah,
and unengaging.
I don't mind his performance. Because he's creepy, but in like he's creepy in a very creepy way. Does that make sense? Kind of.
What'd you guys think about the elevator scene with him and Morrow?
I'm trying to remember what that was.
Where they're basically
more sleepy time, I'm afraid. It was meant to be charged. It was meant to be a confrontation we looked forward to, anticipated at least, and I felt nothing at all. I felt there was no history between those two guys. It didn't remotely convince me that they believed what they were saying.
I think he's going to turn to he's going to help his synth friends. He's going to help the Teenage Mutant Ninja synths, maybe, or they could just turn over. Maybe they'll become aliens themselves. I don't know.
Before we get off the Holly thing, this is going to be super quick. So apparently this was sometime either this week or last at a private event at Noah Hawley's offices in Austin, Texas, and IndieWire was one of the things there. And so this was his quote, because I guess somebody's asking him, how does this fit into the larger mythology? And Hawley said that the only two films his show acknowledges as canon are Alien and Aliens. He says, I think we're telling a parallel story. I'm not actively engaging with the films themselves in terms of who's on the other end of a phone or anything. He says, I'm not looking to connect it to those movies. I think it's more taking the elements of original films and expanding them for my own purposes.
So he's making an alternate timeline. Good Lord, no, we're not going there. Enough with the alternate timelines. I'm very disappointed. Okay, yeah, so that's the timeline. And I think Archer Collin brought up somewhere in the comments that I have not watched Alien 4 in years. In fact, I've never even watched it on my Blu-ray set that I bought over a decade ago. I watched the first two pretty much every year, and I've watched the alternate cut of Alien 3 a few times. So right there, so Alien Resurrection, yeah. So at the end of that, if anybody else has watched that, the alien ship crashes into Earth. I could barely remember it, but and I think that's what happens. If that's what happens, then let's just start it there. That's your alien Earth.
Where?
I think
At the end of Alien Resurrection.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I remember them looking out of a window as they were heading to Earth, and there was no way to avoid the crash landing or whatever it was. Then they were going to Earth no matter what, and shit was going to get real.
Yeah,
but again, I haven't seen it for years either.
That should have been the show. If and honestly, I'm taking your word for it, because I haven't watched actually when I don't think I even watched that when I had the Alien quadrilogy on DVD. I don't think I've watched that since the days of VHS, because I was so disappointed by it. I haven't wanted to go back to it since. But if you want to keep this in the chronology, put it at the end, like after 2381. Pick the story up right there. Yes, nobody likes that movie, but just a pet peeve of mine is these ignoring movies, alternate timelines, all this other crap. Just give us a chronology. That should have been your movie. Or here's what I'll say, Noah. Don't ignore the other movies. If you're going to do another series, drop this whole thing. Pick it up after your 2183, whenever it takes place, whenever Resurrection ends.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Obviously, I'll go and read that as soon as I can, see what he's got to say for himself, because the story of this is expanding outside of the show itself, with talk of a second season already. So that could be something that we look at in greater depth once this series has wrapped up, I feel. But let's go and take a look at the comments in the live chat now, see what other people have got to say about this. The people who are watching on YouTube and Rumble, those who are valiantly pushing on through this series as well. Maybe there are a few people like the Rabbi who are loving every single second of it. You never know, do you? Let's go and find out.
All right. Whoa. I can't go out like this, man. I mean, I'm naked. Sure, I'm smooth, but I need a look. Aha! Now, let's see. Stripes. Ugh. Red? No. Check's quite nice. Oh, no. Ah! Can I get away with that? Of course I can! Wow! Cooler than a snowman's cold bits.
Polo Spearmint. Cool look, cool taste.
Thank you, Kat, for that.
I don't think I don't know if that played or if it was just me, but yeah, I wasn't able to see the video. I just got a message saying your browser failed to play this video, unless StreamYard hates me. Oh, okay, so StreamYards just hate me. What did we just see?
How strange. A Polo commercial, Polo Mints, featuring Danny John Jules, the voice of the cat from Red Dwarf, selling Polo Mints. So the dignity of it was lost on you, sadly. Yes, so we've got some comments here on YouTube and Rumble from people watching and listening along, other Alien audience members maybe, or people who are just curious. Komodo says, Noah Hawley was maybe the wrong choice as writer. But
Maybe.
Could be. I always say that James Mangold never made a bad movie until Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So people aren't necessarily right for everything, even if they've made other things that have gone well, they've been well matched to. It doesn't necessarily mean that that it's always going to work out, or certainly that something as specific as Alien is going to speak to everyone who's been in the target audience for that franchise. Stephen Braddock says it all depends on how it sticks the landing and fits into Alien. I agree with half of that. I think it needs to stick the landing in its own terms. Anything like this that's offered over a period of weeks in a finite period of time needs to stick the landing. I'm less concerned about how it fits into Alien. Obviously, it fits very snugly because it is only the 2-year period. So maybe it does matter here more than it would mostly. But I'll be happy. I don't want to see any sort of portents of. I don't want to see the Nostromo, for example, at the end of this series. No, I don't want to see any of that stuff.
No.
But again, that's something we'll come to when it does get to a conclusion. Donnie says, I have binged the first 6 episodes of Alien Earth. The first 2 were good. The third and fourth were okay. Last week's was amazing. This week, what a disappointment. That's what we've. I don't know if that's accurate for you, Gary, but I think that's generally myself and Chris have been in alignment. That's largely how I think we feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that, except for the last week's being amazing. It was annoying because they were doing so many stupid things.
Yeah,
it was better.
Yeah. It was at least it was functioning in the way I expected an Alien series to function.
But Dan, you thought that the third and fourth, unless I'm misremembering, you thought that the third and fourth episodes were the kind of low point, right?
I thought they were shit, to be truthful. Actually, the more I look back, I thought they were terrible. They lost me gradually rather than being terrible from start to finish. But on reflection, for a show to compel me so strongly initially, and then to lose me just as wholly as that, I thought they were a terrible misstep for this series. PD Rich says it seems like it's turning into slasher porn. Is he talking about Alien or Child's Play? We've got to try and keep the comments on.
Well, no, that would definitely be Chucky. One of these days, folks, I'll convince Dan to let me do an hour-long rant where I basically yell at that series.
we'll have to look at it, won't we? Dalek Lives Matter has joined us again in the live chat. DLM says the Oculus is the star of the show, which draws me out of the Alien franchise. This is the thing that I've said this over and over again. I feel exactly the same way now. This is the crowning glory of this so far. The boldness, the fearlessness with which they've expanded the menagerie of alien creatures. This series, and I think with hindsight as well, the Alien franchise absolutely, definitely did need to do this. It doesn't necessarily matter how memorable the Xenomorphs are. There are still only so many things you can do with them. I think this is the right way to go. It seems to be working for the majority, I think. But thank you, DLM. 90210 Romulus verse, says Komodo. Well, that's another film entirely. We're not talking about that. You have to keep the comments on topic, otherwise I'm not going to respond to them. I'm sorry, guys.
Yes, that's my fault.
Wait, says Colin, a 12-year-old? Thought she was pregnant? Yeah, but it's because she's grown. In this instance, she doesn't believe it's not a sexual thing. It's an awareness internally of a shift in herself. So it's not. I can see. It's. I thought that was a really viable, because to her, she's found herself from being a child into an adult body, and to her it's magic. The scientists know what they've done, but to her it's magic. And so she wouldn't necessarily know what this new body was capable of. And so there's no sexual component to it whatsoever. It's proper sci-fi.
And it seemed to me like they were playing it as like that was her reaction to her trauma. That's how I sensed it.
And like what I was saying, that would be perfect for a separate series, and that's what it should have been. It's almost like Noah had this separate idea of kids in android bodies and just tried to incorporate it into Alien. That's my theory as to what happened here. Like we're getting 2 completely different shows. Again, this is my Chucky 2.0, which makes me very grumpy and very sad.
I wondered about this exact question that Komodo's asking. How would they know the name Xenomorph when that was just a generic label for an unnamed alien in subsequent film? Where does the word Xenomorph come from? Have we ever seen that coined? Have I just forgotten it over time?
Need to look that up.
I don't even remember that. It's been a while since I saw the original. I don't even remember that being in the first. It probably is in the first one.
Maybe. I can't remember. It's I love the original Alien film, but I haven't watched it to the extent that I have Star Wars. I don't know the dialogue. If you'd follow me, that's the difference for me. Lucy Meow says the show is lacking smartness and there are no likable characters to root for.
Exactly.
I mean, I've again, the smartness thing, that's subjective, really. What matters to some doesn't matter to others. What some notice and what others don't is different. But you have to. What's unequivocal, what's objectionable, what is objective, is that you have to like someone. You have to be able to relate to someone, and to what if you don't want to see it work out for them, be fascinated and captivated enough to see how it plays out and how they are affected. And quite frankly, even the characters I liked last week, like Morrow, just go away. Just he stands there mumbling about stuff. He says he knows these guys. They've got history, but have they? I don't know, because the actors don't seem to think they have. So why should I think they have? So it's losing me really, really quickly. Rose Kirby says, I'm glad I'm only seeing the highlights of this show. But as Chris said, it's not a complete waste of time. That's the tragic part of it. If it was complete nonsense and it was badly made and badly written and badly acted, it wouldn't be half as frustrating.
Well, that's why I'm irritated, and that's why I keep using this the Chucky comparison, because it's exactly the same here. I'm like the alien stuff we've gotten, episodes 1, 2, 5. And the end of this episode is awesome. It was the same thing with Chucky. The Brad Dourif Chucky stuff is awesome. The other half is just, much worse than Alien, but unwatchable. So it's like, and this is the problem, I think, with streaming TV shows. And actually, Chucky wasn't even a streaming show. It was on Sci-Fi, I think, from what I remember. But this is the problem with streaming shows, or taking shows, or taking franchises that are much better in movie form and trying to stretch them out to a TV show. And this is what I said the week before this show started. When you take something that, this may have been a good idea as maybe a movie or maybe even 2 movies. The problem is you have this great idea. You have to stretch it out to 8 to 10 to 12 episodes. And the problem is, if you don't have enough to stretch it out, then what do? You end up with stuff like this inserted. Yeah. And it's like, you're in college and you're writing your term paper, and the paper has to be 20 pages long. You have 10 pages of, really good stuff. Well, what do? It has to be 20. So you just start this filler that goes nowhere. That's exactly what I see happening with this series. You got like the Alien. I genuinely like the Alien stuff, and I thought the first 2 episodes were awesome. Like I loved the first 2 episodes. That's exactly what happened here. That's exactly what happened with Chucky. You had enough for a movie, but you had to stretch it out to a certain amount of episodes, and the problem is you end up with filler. And it drags the whole thing down. And the problem, especially with the way we watch TV shows now, is people are going to start checking out when you get into the mystery box conspiracy things. For the most part, for me, with any show, that's a deal breaker, and I just shut it off. And if I hadn't been reviewing this, I probably would have checked out after this week.
I'm emotionally checked out of this.
2 episodes.
I'll carry on watching it as a spectacle. And maybe I would have done before, but emotionally, it's completely lost me. And I'm not anticipating the next episodes at all. I'm hopeful that there'll be something there to break up the monotony. And I think anything else I get on top of that will be a plus. We've got a comment. We've got confirmation here in the live chat on YouTube from PD Rich, who's been watching the entire show, and says, Ripley referred to it as a xenomorph while talking to the Colonial Marines before the drop.
Okay,
so that would be in the second film. So thank you for that, and for all of the comments too, everybody. So that wraps up another installment on our Alien Watch. There are 2 more to come. Next one is it's on when's this? Tuesday the 16th of September on FX and Hulu. Wednesday the 17th on Disney Plus in the UK. 2 episodes left. Not long to prolong the agony for. In all sincerity, I would imagine they can't leave this hanging in midair. They must deliver on some of the promise and the brand name of what we expect from Alien. There must be some carnage There simply must be, whether they intended it on finishing here or whether multiple seasons of it were always in the plan. Let us know what you think in the comments. If they do make more of this, have you had your fill? Anyway, let us know about all of that. And what do you think of this 6th episode, The Fly? Again, some visual highlights that can't be argued, and some interesting performances here and there, and more strong sci-fi ideas, but certainly for the three of us, not fighting their way out from under monotony and stillness. The Rabbi feels very, very differently. Obviously, the Rabbi from another planet, Spieler Betkin, you can find him on YouTube and on X, of course. That's his social media. You can get in touch with him and talk to him about the things that he's enjoying so much. And we'll be back for the continuance of our Alien Watch next time. Okay, it's been a long night. Let's finish off with more scares, more teeth.
Jaws. 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 Jaws is the game where you try to fish out what's in the jaws of the great white shark.
I'm going for the camera. Made it.
But be careful, because if you remove the wrong piece, the jaws will get you. And you're out. Jaws. It's you against the great white shark and each other from Ideal.
This has been the Spacebook Live on YouTube and Rumble at the end of a week none of us are going to forget for one reason or another, I suspect. So again, looking back to the first hour of the show, which was a sort of impromptu conversation about recent world events that will absolutely affect our culture as well as our mindsets going forward. Let us know what you think of that in the comments. By all means, you can say what you wish. Whatever YouTube, whatever Google will allow. And the same goes over on Rumble as well. Get in touch with us through our social media as ever. And be sure to be back here on YouTube and Rumble for more playtime and more fun and games next time. As ever, bring your space hopper if you dare. Thank you guys for joining me for this show. Again, I wasn't quite sure where the conversation was going to go. I suspected we may bring things up that were on our minds, and I think that's a viable use of our time together this time. But there's always obviously more coming next week, and even though I think it's quite quiet in movies and TV at the moment, so it's been quite a good year as regards creativity. So there'll be plenty to talk about as we hit the autumn. I've no doubt, and lots of things that are making my radar, which we'll come to. I don't doubt. We did have a comment actually I wanted to look at from earlier on, which wasn't relevant, but I think it's worth talking about, worth addressing. Rose says, I would like to know, are you celebrating Batman Day next Saturday? We did last year, Rose. We talked about Batman Day last year for one reason or another, but we spoke a little about Batman last week and the non-casting of Alan Rickson as Batman in the DCU. So it could be this time we leave Batman for the time being. But I'm a massive DC Comics fan. Most incarnations of Batman in animation and live action, I love them all. So stay tuned for more Batman at some point in the future. But I think if we sort of marked every one of these days, Gary, there is one every week, isn't there? We'd never stop.
I know which hat I'll be wearing next Saturday now, Rose. So thank you very much for that. I don't have any purple tights to wear. I can do that, during during the stream, maybe.
There you go. Darling Lives Matter thought this week's Alien Earth was the best episode, but purely because it was structured better than the other. So different people see different things, value things differently when they're making that sort of mental notes that we do. Yeah. Again, thank you, DLM. Stephen Braddock says the biggest monsters aren't the aliens, it's the humans. It's the humans, everybody. It's the humans. Yes, so more next time. I don't doubt. Make sure you're here for the remainder of Alien Earth, and let's see how it pleases or doesn't the rest of us. We've got people started on BAM. There you go. Okay, yes. So, Gary, thank you again for all your contributions, all of it.
Thank you. I was really. Thank you for giving all of us, the opportunity to kind of find some, perspective, especially the first hour. I was thinking it's, I felt powerless a lot this week. I think because, as an individual, we see these events happen, and I'll speak for myself. I felt powerless, and I think that Dan, the event that happened in the UK today, or even the four of us coming together to talk about this, by coming together and unifying, at least for me, that kind of dispels the sense of kind of individual powerlessness I have, because I know that what I'm going through is shared by a lot of you. So I appreciate you giving us the forum to wrestle with that.
Jetman, Jumpman, Changeman says El Emery Calamane. And I couldn't agree more. But yeah, thank you, Gary. Chris, another great conversation, and I don't know if you find the Alien Earth conversations therapeutic at all after having sat through that, but it could be worth it in the end. We never know, do we? Is there any good news about Frank, at least, because he has been on my mind too?
Well, as everybody knows, Frank is still missing, but I would like to take a moment to thank everybody who donated to the GoFundMe to help Frank, and tips that have been pouring in. But there is some controversy that I would like to address. I've been given a message here. So Dan, I'm just going to deliver this message. So this is from Professor Dinkles, and he wants to dissuade rumors that he took the GoFundMe funds to find Frank and spend it on a new hat. But unfortunately, and I can't say this because I haven't seen it myself, but I know there have been reports of this, that Professor Dinkles has been walking around with a very flashy looking new hat, and embroidered on the hat in like gold are the words "To hell with Frank." So so Professor Dinkles needs to explain this.
Daring.
So going forward, Professor Dinkles is no longer in charge of the GoFundMe for Frank, because we don't trust him at this point until he can show us where he got the money to pay for that new hat. So hopefully at some point we get some update on Frank. We're going through the tips right now. The GoFundMe is now in the hands of Frank's Uncle Cletus. So hopefully Uncle Cletus does a slightly better job than Professor Dinkles did. So pray for Frank.
The expression is, we demand to see receipts. That's what they say, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, well, he won't give the receipts, and I'm like, yeah. And Professor Dinkles is slightly terrifying and a little bit unhinged, so we don't want to push him too far.
Chris, I think it's going to turn out that Frank is on, just like the TV show. I think Frank's is on an island somewhere being experimented on.
Well, the last time we saw him, he was in a forest being forced to wear a dress by creepy people.
There you go.
So we have to find out what's happened to him. But at some point, we may get an update as to what's happened with Frank. But yeah, so I'm just delivering the message from Professor Dinkles. I don't have proof one way or the other. I just know that something's a little bit fishy here. So that's this week's update for Frank. So next week, join us where I give you a message about drugs. Oh, wait, no, that's in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you're going to get a message about drugs. Next week, we get a rerun.
Thank you.
And also hashtag pray for Frank.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris, for keeping us informed. Obviously, we're all heavily invested in the sprawling saga of Frank. And, down with Dinkles. That's not good. That's not good.
No,
okay,
we're not going to do down with Dinkles, because we don't know for sure that he did it. Presumed innocent until proved. He may have paid for that hat with his own money. We don't know. We're not judging here. I'm just reporting the information as I've gotten it. So as of now, Professor Dinkles wholeheartedly denies that he spent the money for the fine from the Find Frank Fund for a hat that says "Down with Frank." So
that's what the police would call circumstantial evidence, Chris.
Exactly, and circumstantial evidence proves nothing.
People have been convicted on that, though.
Oh well, we'll have to see. It's his problem. But anyway, so we're hoping we'll see. Maybe next week we'll get some update on what's going on with Frank.
In my view, this story has all of the intrigue that's been lacking in.
Yeah.
I feel that we're lifted. This entire edition of the show has been lifted by what you've told us so far. Thank you again to the Rabbi from Another Planet, Svila Betkin. Find him on X and his YouTube channel, of course, where he live streams daily, coming at you sometimes for a good couple of hours there with tremendous sort of streams of thought and invaluable wisdom there from the Rabbi from Another Planet. So go and connect with him and see what he's got to say for himself about all of this we've been talking about on this edition of the show and whatever else may come up in the average week too. You try stopping him. Thank you again, Chris. We'll see you next time, I don't doubt. And to you too, Gary. See the Batman cap. He sees the Batman cap. We're getting a preview.
Yeah.
That's not worth coming for, Gary. I don't know what is, but yeah, thank you again for all of that. Thunderbirds are go, and so are we. We'll see you out there somewhere soonish for the next one. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye, everybody.